When you start to question the whole thing, it unwinds. Behold the great deception, traversing throughout time. Do you dare to question if there's a grip upon your mind? Cause at the mere suggestion, it leaves you all entwined. I've been searching round for curvature, but there ain't none to see. No matter where I let my head turn, seems awfully flat to me. Will you start to question the shackles of your mind? If you let it open, you know there's truth inside. Have you been numbed into complacent, bred in circus to the end? It's time to claim your mental freedom. You know it's up to you, my friend. I've been searching round for curvature, but there ain't none to see. No matter where I let my head turn, seems awfully flat to me. Will you start to question the shackles of your mind? If you let it open, you know there's truth inside. Will you start to question the shackles of your mind? If you let it open, you know there's truth inside me.
I found this photo in Grandmere State Park. This is from Joshua Wiki. And what you're seeing here is a mirage. You typically would not be able to see this from the Lake Michigan shore. We talked about this last night. Conditions are right on the lake that we're actually seeing a mirage of the Chicago skyline.
Mirage. A mirage. Hey, everybody. Can you hear me okay? How's my microphone? Check 1, 2, 3. It's been a while. Nice to see some familiar faces here. Just waiting for, okay, cool. Hey, Wendy, Derp, everybody else, wonderful to have you all here. Welcome. This is going to be a fun session today, I think. Got some great stories to tell, some things to share, and got some wonderful guests that are probably going to be popping in. And yeah, so where to begin? Let's see here. Can you see me on camera? Let's see. I've got... Yeah, you got me. You got my big face there, right? All right, so where to begin? Wait, I just want to make sure. Let's see. Sharing. Yeah. You got me on camera right now, right? It's been a while since I did this, and I'm used to OBS rather than StreamYard, but I did StreamYard today because I don't know how to bring in guests with OBS. I still have to learn how to do that. So, wow, it's been a while. I had an amazing trip in the States. I'm going to be sharing all the different little chapters of that with you all today. Kind of a travel log, but it's also... I'll just tell a little story. When I was 19, I was living in Seattle, and my mom is an astrologer, and I grew up with astrology. It's where the channel name comes from, Stellium 7. I have a stellium in my birth chart. I always liked the word. And I was trying to figure out what direction I wanted to take with my life. This was after my hacking adventures and bust and all of the craziness that ensued. So she recommended that I get in touch with an astrologer who was in Seattle named Jeff Green. A lot of people who are into astrology know who he is. He wrote several books, and he was working at a bookstore in the University District. And so I popped in one day and I dropped off my astrology chart with just a note asking him if he could take a look at it and give me a sense of a direction that I should take with my life. And he came back with one word, and the word was photojournalism. And I liked photography, so that was kind of cool because I did a lot of picture taking when I was in high school. But I never thought of myself as a journalist. But now, years later, reflecting on the last 7 years since I started this channel, I realized that that's kind of exactly what I've been doing. It's been photojournalism. I've been sharing a lot of the different information that I've come across and sharing my questions and my explorations into all kinds of different topics. And so I'm just going to embrace that with this stream and give you like a little photojournalistic expose of the last 6 weeks or so. I started my travels in Texas, and well, let me bring up something here. Oh, no. All right. Where is it? There we go. And So I'll just start my journey here because I just before I left for the States, I went for lunch in Denia, which is a town right next to Montco, and love Thai food. And I was sitting at the table and looking at this photograph of this guy riding an elephant. And the waiter, who I think also owned the restaurant, looked a lot like the guy sitting on the elephant. And so I asked him at one point, "Is this you?" And he didn't quite understand what I meant, because what had happened is I had asked for the check and he brought the check. And when he brought the check, I asked him, "Is this you?" And the funny thing is he totally misunderstood what I was asking. And he realized something was wrong, and he took the check back. And anybody who's been following me for a while knows there's been a lot of synchronicities surrounding all of the work that I've done with Montco and the Heartstones, and I've shared a lot of those in different streams. Some of them are just so crazy, the things that have lined up, and like multiple synchronicities all in a row that are all related to a particular subject. And a lot of those synchronicities over the last couple of years have had to do with the number 17. And there's a stream that I did called the Synchronicity stream that covers a lot of those synchronicities. And then also, after I got back from Music and Sky, I did a recap similar to what I'm going to do today, and shared a number of synchronicities that had to do with the number 17. So here I am in a restaurant that's at the foot of Montco, looking at a guy riding an elephant. And I asked this waiter, like, "What, is this you?" And he misunderstands, and he goes away, and he comes back and he brings me back 2 checks. Where is it? Here we go. And the first check was for my meal, and then the second check was for a friend who joined me and just had a tea. And I just thought, that's perfect. It wasn't just one check that was the number 17. It was actually 2. So I thought that was a pretty auspicious beginning to a journey that I was about to undertake. And but before that, I had to go to Madrid to renew my Swedish passport. And I ended up traveling with my American passport, which got me in a little, not trouble, but I got some challenges when I tried to come back into Spain after my journey in Portugal, because there were some things wrong with the stamps in my passport, because I've been switching back and forth between them. So things didn't match up. So I had a police officer dude that just was not very friendly, and he decided he didn't like me and the way I looked or something, because I watched about 200 people go by and everyone was just flowing through. But I got stopped for nearly half an hour and questioned, and I told him I had dual citizenship and that I had a second passport, and that I pulled out my driver's license, I pulled out my Spanish tax card, and nothing was good enough for him until I finally had a photocopy of my Swedish expired license or passport, and he let me through. So I had to go to Madrid, and I just want to share these photographs because I've only been to Madrid twice now, and both times for a single day, and both times for passports. I went last year to renew a passport with my son. And it's just so interesting now, with the mindset and the knowledge that I have, to travel in these old world cities and to see the architecture, because obviously I look at it all with new eyes now, and it's just, it never ceases to amaze. And so I just wanted to share some of the photographs, from everything from the little bits and bobs that are on the buildings themselves to these just magnificent structures that I think most of the people in this chat or watching this are probably aware are not exactly what they told us when it comes to our historical narratives. And it's actually a pretty beautiful city. I'm not a big fan of big cities, and oftentimes I find them really dirty and stressful. And so It's refreshing when I go to one that's actually clean, and it's pretty quiet now because of all the electric vehicles and just these phenomenal palatial structures that obviously go deep below the ground as well. And I don't know if I caught any examples of that, but it's usually pretty easy to find when you're looking at these sorts of structures, that they go down maybe almost as much as they go up. And yeah, so it's a beautiful city. This was an example of the modern stuff that's being made. Steel frame glass, brutalism. I used to think this was the coolest thing ever because it was modern and it was so futuristic looking, and now I just think, God, can't we do better? Is this all we got in this day and age? There was this sculpture which was pretty awesome. It even seeing it in person, it had this really surrealistic look to it. I don't even know the name of the sculptor, but when I went to Seattle, there was another sculpture that you'll see photos of later that were also that was also from the same sculptor. So this is the Swedish embassy. It's not surprising, given that this is the country that gave us IKEA. Kind of lacking in everything, if you ask me. It was a big, ugly box, and yeah. So I was glad to get in and out and just see some of the rest of the city. Arc de Triomphe. And I wanted to go up in this thing, but it was closed for restoration or something. I don't know what the problem was, but it was pretty clear that the structures in this building, in this city, were old school. And there was some modern stuff as well. Sitting on a bus. I wouldn't want to be doing what he's doing right now. This was, almost 2 months ago. It has been sweltering heat since I got back, like 100-degree plus temperatures with major humidity and no movement of the air, and you just want to sit in front of a fan all day long, and that's kind of what I've been doing today. Been working on some very cool stuff, which I'll share with you guys. And this is, throwback from, looks like the days of fascism. But these little things are all over the place, and it's just like, it's so refreshing to see beauty and quality everywhere you look. Look at this. It's magnificent, really. Yeah, and then I went to one of the larger parks. That was a nice, refreshing experience. Get my feet in the grass, do a little grounding. And this is an amazing structure that is similar to others that are seen in the World's Fairs, these steel beam glass structures, but the old school structures, not the new stuff. This was the train station. And this is Alex Michael playing my saxophone. It's not bad for his first time. Anyway, sounds like he's stepping on a duck. It's not easy to play the sax, but I thought that was a masterful first attempt, actually. You'd never held one before. So this is one of the things that I've been up to, is finishing off the book. I had planned to launch it June 1st, but I realized that I hadn't done any preparation I was going to the States. I had a couple of interviews lined up, but nothing really prepared to have it, be a good launch right out of the gate. So I decided to put it off. And so it's going to be coming out September 17th, and I'll obviously be informing everyone along the way as that progresses. But really fun to hold it in my hands and see it actually enter into 3D space instead of just being in my mind. This is another little thing that happened just before I left, where I went to one of the things that kind of woke me up to the idea that this world might not be what we were taught is looking at Ibiza, which is 60 miles off the coast, 90 kilometers. And there was a day that I was out there after talking with Alex, and he was talking about Earth shape and other subjects, and I couldn't believe it, and I started looking into it more, and I started doing the math on the Earth size and the geometry behind curvature and all of that, and I saw Ibiza on a cold winter's day, and I could see all of the island. And so this is, you can probably barely see it there. Let's see if I zoom in. So I made this observation. You can see there's this white line here, and this is all atmospheric occlusion, right? That's not hidden behind a curvature, and I'll prove that to you in a moment. But this is an interesting observation because it's further away and lower than the original observation that I made. And so here you can see more of the island. And that's just zooming in with my camera. I've got a Galaxy S24, and it's got a pretty good quality zoom. But this was amazing. This is, I don't know if you can make it out, if the quality is good enough, but this is a little tiny island that's in front of Ibiza called Es Vedra. And it's like 400 meters high, I think. And you can start doing the math by looking at these two peaks. This is the highest peak on Ibiza, and this is the second highest, and then this saddle between them. But this is out in front, and it's smaller than what's behind it. And more than half of this should be behind the curvature. And this right here, this little edge of this that should be on the horizon at best. So just another confirmation of the math not mathing when it comes to what we've been told about the Earth. And so true to form, I get on my first flight leaving for Barcelona, and my gate is gate number 17. So I thought, okay, that's an auspicious start to the whole thing. And then I flew into, first to Barcelona and then into San Antonio, Texas. And so here I am in my homeland. Never been in Texas before. This was a first experience for me. I went to an Airbnb that was not far from the airport because I needed to meet people the next morning. So I didn't have a chance to go into San Antonio, which I've heard has some really beautiful sections, but this particular section was not. And so now we come to the amazing event that is Confluence. And I can see that Dawn Lester is here, and I'm going to add you to the chat. Hi, Dawn. Say hello to everybody.
Hi, Mike. Hi, everybody.
Let's go like that. That's better. I can't hear you.
Can't you?
No, not yet. Keep trying things, and when I hear you, I'll let you know. Yeah, so this was a 4-day event with just the most amazing lineup of speakers, really living legends, all of them, incredible musicians. And you can see here, day one, Jerry Pollack was there. It was my second time seeing him. He was at the water conference in Portugal that I went to, that I did a recap of. His talk was absolutely amazing, as was his interview with Alex Zek, which he did, I think, a week or so before Confluence. Check that out if you're not familiar with his work. That was a really, really good presentation He's the man who discovered easy water, or fourth phase water, which is this gel-like state that water can take. We've been taught that it's just it's water, vapor, or ice. Those are the three phases of water, but it's actually way more than that. Oh, you can hear her, but I can't.
Can you hear me now?
Say something else, Dawn.
Can you hear me?
People can, okay, now that's odd. That's a problem I've never encountered before. Edit mic settings.
Is it better?
Maybe try going out and coming back in, Dawn. I'm just going to remove you and then use the link again and see if that solves the problem. Because I got several people planned that I've invited. It's my issue. I've got issues, no doubt about that. Question is, why wouldn't I be able to hear her? I'm using StreamYard, so if anyone knows why the audience would be able to hear her and not me, maybe you can post it in the chat. And if nobody knows, maybe somebody can ask AI. She's not back yet. So Dr. Edith Ubuntu Chan, she also gave a really remarkable talk, and she's the mother of I can't remember how many children she has, but her children have magical abilities. So I titled this let me add you to the stage there. Try talking again.
Can you hear me? No?
Bizarre. Let me just pull out my headphones. Say something again.
Can you hear me now?
My audio is set too low. I suppose that's a possibility. Say something again, Dawn.
Can you hear me? Can people hear me in the chat? Because I've put in a different microphone.
It's definitely my issue. Sam, can you try and figure that out for me? Or you can come in also, Sam, and I'll see if I can hear you.
Oh, thanks, Sam. You can. Well, they can hear me.
It's kind of important for me to be able to hear guests. This hasn't happened before. Chat can hear her, but I can't. How about now, Dawn? Say something.
Okay, hello. Hello, hello.
No, yeah, I understand that you guys can hear her, but I don't understand why I can't.
No, because I can hear you fine. Oh, okay. I can hear Mike fine, so this is odd, very odd.
Can someone just try checking into that and let me know, because I don't want to pause the stream to try and sort it out. Yeah, so Edith, I titled this "The Magic of Confluence" because the event was really magical. She can hear me, you can hear her, I can't hear her. That's the problem. If anyone can help me solve that, that would be great. Got somebody else in the studio as well. Steve, hey there.
Yeah. Hey, can you hear me okay?
Can you can you guys hear Steve?
Check 1 2.
You can hear Steve as well.
Check. Good.
This stream is not going to work unless I solve this problem.
You can't.
All right, let me do some looking. check my speaker selection.
Check.
Okay.
Check 1 2. Check 1 2. You hear any audio, Mike? Can you hear us? Check.
It doesn't look
Input,
like it.
output, that's
Can you hear me,
fine.
Steve?
Yeah, I can hear you,
I
Don.
can hear
Oh,
my-
okay, I can hear you. So weird.
StreamYard settings. Where's the settings for StreamYard? Here we go. Audio, mic. Aha! I think I've got it solved here. I should be able to hear you now. Say something, Dawn.
Hello, Mike.
Hey, all right.
Hooray!
Got it.
Excellent.
Check 1 2. Can you hear me too?
Thank you, Perplexity AI. It's good for something, right? All right. So, Steve, I'm going to be talking about our segment of the journey at the very end. So, I don't know if you want to be here. You're welcome to be in the panel, or you can be in the wings, whichever you choose.
I'm happy to wait in the wings and just watch you fly. Go ahead.
All right. Cool. There we go. I'll add you to the stage later. Yeah, so back to Edith Ubuntu Chan. I titled this The Magic of Confluence, not just because the event itself is so magical, as I'm sure Dawn will agree.
Totally.
But also we witnessed magic at Confluence, literally. There were, about 8 kids there who were able to read blindfolded, solve Rubik's Cubes, play catch with each other. And these, they're wearing these special blindfolds that don't let any light in whatsoever. And it's the second time I've witnessed this live. First time was in Anarchapulco. And it's just such a wonderful thing because it doesn't fit with our mainstream scientific narratives at all. And it's just a narrative breaker. Just that alone. Along with so many other things that were also covered at the conference, which we'll go into. So, yeah, back to this. So, great musicians: Joel Rafidi, Headflux, also known as Steve Young, who may be joining us, and the music was fantastic, so uplifting. It's really high quality and truth music, like just, positive messages and exposing the lies and everything. And it's just, it's so refreshing to see so many different styles of music and people performing at such a high level. So it's been years and years since I've attended concerts, and this was awesome. What do you think, Dawn?
Yes, overall it was brilliant, and as you can see from there's plenty going on, and unfortunately it meant that you just couldn't go to all the talks and all the workshops and all the music, but it was called Choose Your Own Adventure, so people could dip in and out. And the other part of it also is just being able to sit and have conversations with people, have a chat, just interact with each other. I mean, that is also part of the magic, as you say, that we're in person with people who are, like-hearted as well as like-minded. So, it's just one of those where you gather with people where you can just go, you're with your tribe. And so fantastic conversations, all sorts of interesting things going on, and where we're all open to the kinds of things that do happen, the magic. Nobody was saying, oh, that's odd. I mean, it was just amazing. But, we're all open to those kinds of experiences.
Totally. Everyone's got their own, makeup of how they think and what they believe. But I didn't see anybody like disagreeing or, no arguments. No, it's not like other music festivals where you see people that are, drunk and sloppy, and, maybe there's some, moment of violence or something like that. It's anything but that. This was a really, a lot of festivals try and promote themselves as a family affair, a family event, and are anything but that. But there were something like 100 children there out of 700 plus people. and they had all kinds of activities and lots of little ones and running around. And it was just, it was such a family vibe, and it was really, really great to experience, for that reason. I mean, if it was all adults, it just wouldn't have been the same. It would have been, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, part of it is that Molly's got a few children of her own anyway, so it's open to families. Yeah, I mean, I know they do Music and Sky, one of them for adults, and there's sometimes they do for adults, sometimes for families. But yeah, I mean, the atmosphere, the whole vibe at Confluence is definitely for families.
Absolutely.
And the children are more than adequately catered for, with all kinds of fun stuff going on for them, all sorts of activities run by somebody who, she just loves children. She knows her stuff and keeps them occupied. It's just wonderful seeing all these children from, lots of different places just running around, having a good time, playing with each other, creating their own games and different things going on. So yeah, very family oriented.
Seeing through blindfolds.
Well, that as well, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good if you can't blindfold somebody and they can still see. And everything we just said about Confluence, I would say, applies to Music and Sky as well. It's they're sister events, really blissful to be at both of them. So yeah, lots of great speakers. Like I said, Dr. Ana Maria Oliva, she's a real powerhouse. I watched her speak in Anarchapulco. Cal Worthington, I always want to call him Cal Worthington. This is Cal Worthington and his dog Spot. Cal Washington. I had never heard him speak before, and it was definitely interesting. He's looking at promissory notes and bills of exchange, and I'm just looking at the titles of the talks here because it's not all fresh in my head, and I wasn't recording the talks, and I haven't been able to review them, and I just spent a lot of time in a flow state. I didn't get a whole lot of footage either from the event because I just was in the present moment and just enjoying the conversations and being with the people. But Mark Gober, Carrie Bennett, Kelly Brogan, all there giving great talks. And Tom Barnett, Dr. Diane Powell. Now she was really interesting because she's the researcher who's been working with the nonverbal autists for a very long time. And anyone who's listened to the telepathy tapes, a lot of that is based on her work. Kai Dickens, I think, is the narrator's name. And she is, presenting the work of Diane, and her presentation was phenomenal. And to have those kids there with their abilities and to hear her talk, there's just no doubt that these people are able to do the things that they're talking about. And they're not able to predict things, 5 or 10% of over the average. Like if you flip a coin, it's 50-50, heads or tails. But if you can predict it 55 or 60% of the time, that's statistically significant, and that was considered psychic ability once upon a time. These people are doing it 100% of the time with no hesitation. They just know stuff that they shouldn't be able to know unless reality isn't what we were taught it is. So yeah, and that's why the magic of Confluence, really. Ian Carroll was there. A lot of people might know him from Instagram. He's got a big following there where he's just exposing all kinds of truth, and he does it in these short, impactful videos. His talk was fascinating as well. Eileen McCusick, Adam Bigelson, Veda Austin, all powerhouses, all living legends, really. I talked when I did the Anarchapulco recap. I talked about Adam Bigelson's work with the holographic blood work. His brother and his father's work is just amazing. Eileen McCusick with biofield tuning, and Veda with her work on water and how water appears to be sentient and communicate with us. And if you're not familiar with these people's work, definitely look into them. Each and every one of them is well worth the time. Alex, Zach, Molly.
I was just going to say yes, because you rushed. Well, not you. You moved through the Thursday, which is when I held my workshop. Mine was pretty early on, which was good. So I got through. I presented my workshop, and then I was able to relax and enjoy the rest of the event. Yeah.
And I didn't make your workshop, so tell me about yours.
That's okay.
Just let people know a little bit about what you did.
I called it Transcending the Conditioning because, as well as learning new things, we have to be open to unlearning what we think we know. And literally, you just said, this reality isn't what we think it is, and that's part of it. That so much is conditioned into what we think this is, and we're learning that a lot of it isn't true, and yet at the same time, there's still a lot of conditioning of how we think things are. And also our own conditioning from things we're made to believe due to our upbringing and also due to the schooling system. I won't call it education, so these systems, so, to think a certain way. And so it takes a bit of time to start thinking a different, to open up to thinking differently, to be open to other things. And as we do that, we start finding that we've still got certain things that we're stuck in and certain ideas. And also I'd found some interesting information because, one of the conditioned things is that we are, basically, man's bad, not bad, but I mean, this whole sin thing, but also that, we're naturally aggressive or that kind of thing, that the fighting each other is natural. And so the different experiments that have been done in the in the 20th century, back in the 1960s or whatever, that trying to show that people it's the prison Stanford prison experiments, where they apparently all descended into being violent to each other, and yet I found some. I also have Synchronicities books turn up at the right time for me. So I came across some work and some research that showed that there was a lot of manipulation for those men to act in a particular way. So, but part of the conditioning is how we are naturally, that we are naturally, violent, or that's what they'll do, so that's why we've got to have these systems, because otherwise it will turn into chaos. And of course it doesn't. As I say, these men were manipulated, the ones who played the guards. So it's back to trusting our own nature that, we feel, for the most part, people are decent, men and women are decent. And so it's really getting through to that and saying, you start to trust ourselves. So that's sort of the essence of what I was saying. Just, we're still clearing through this conditioning.
Yeah, and the older we get, the harder it is to clear that conditioning. And I think proof of that is that it's the children that are able to, read blindfolded, and it's the very rare adult that might have these abilities. And but the younger they start, the easier it is. Alex's children as well can do this. I saw he posted a video on Instagram the other day, and he was like, holding up a baby and like, what am I holding now? And his child was wearing these goggles, and just nailed it every single time. So
he did. That was amazing. And it was obviously a game. It was fun. It wasn't made to look like a chore. And I think that's when these abilities are more likely to happen. But we can do that. It's, again, part of the conditioning, and I would say maybe part of the conditioning is that it's harder as you get older. I mean, it might take a little bit longer, but I think we're coming across more and more people who are tuned into, what's beyond the physical, which is really saying, no, that's natural, that's not weird. But you're right. Children are showing us this, with the autist, with the blindfold reading, that there's more to this reality. It's not that it's restricted. There's more, so there's more to explore.
And Veda's presentation, she was not just talking about her research into water, but also she's been in communication with these autists and they have completely confirmed all of her findings and even presented more information about things that she wasn't aware of. So it was wild. There was one point where she sent a series of photos and asking, for their opinions about the photos. And then there was one that she was deliberating about whether she should include it or not, and she decided not to. And this person who was answering the question was like, and the one that she didn't include also blah blah blah. I don't remember the details exactly, but like also knew that she had been, she had decided not to include that photograph. So I reached out to her with some photos of the heartstones, because I'm really curious to hear what the autists would have to say about those. So I don't like calling them the autists, but I mean, what else? Is there another term?
I think that's what they refer to themselves as.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
No, I think
don't
that's.
Have a problem with it, neither do I.
Yeah. No. Otherwise it's children with autism. But again, that's a label. So I think maybe we'll find a different way of describing. Yeah.
My take on it is just like a blind person has super hearing oftentimes. It's like that part of their being can't it doesn't have that outlet of sight, so it strengthens the hearing. A lot of these children and adults are they don't want to be touched. They have all kinds of peculiarities. And the way I see it is like the life force will out in one way or another. And so, in the case of a person who's really lacking maybe the ability to use their body like a normal person would, that's compensated for by these other abilities that actually involve being able to communicate in other dimensions with other people and go to places that we don't even know exist, and hang out with their buddies and stuff. And that, for people who think this sounds like crazy talk, I definitely recommend the telepathy tapes.
One idea is that our senses are filtering systems, and because they don't have the same filtering system, that they are accessing more than we do. So they're accessing more beyond the physical than we do. So they're more open to that because they're filters. Yeah, I don't mean in a bad way, filters. It's just, because we only hear a certain range. Yeah.
It's funneled down to we're only seeing a tiny spectrum, or a part of the light spectrum, for example.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. So just to continue with these, this is what was this room called? It was the brewery. Is that what they called it?
Yes, the brewery. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. I was going to say the barn, but that didn't sound right.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it is a brewery. It is a brewery.
This is a brewery, and this is there were a lot of talks were held here. You'll see the main stage in a moment. This is Steve Young.
This is hedonism, which is the idea that there's no sin or no morality, no consequences for actions, and that we just need to seek pleasure and everything will be fine. And then nihilism, which is that there's no purpose or meaning to anything. It all just came about through some random process and natural laws. So everything happened because of nothing, essentially. So
yeah, and he knocked it out of the park. So there were a lot of stars at this event. Great performers, great speakers. But one of the biggest stars at this event was this rock, which made the rounds. I introduced it to Steve after his talk, because the guy, I had been talking to this guy. He came up to me. Someone told him to talk to me. I don't know why. His name was Alon, I think, Alon, and he was given this rock by a man in Israel who claimed that it came from a UFO crash site. And I was like, okay, whatever. And apparently there were a bunch more where that came from. This was fished out of a bucket, and he, pressed the guy to, kept pressing until he finally gave it to him. And this rock was blowing everybody's mind. It had these properties that just could not be explained. And what you're seeing here is the rock has got ice cubes on it. And well, I'll just let the video do the talking here.
There you go. So the ice melts faster on the rock, on freezing cold rock, than in the warm hands.
So have you ever seen anything like it?
Never, no.
Ever? Can you explain it somehow?
I actually can't. I mean, I'm assuming since there's no heat coming from it, that it's not emitting infrared, there's got to be something happening that's melting the ice, but what could it be?
We don't know if it's got radiation.
Have to look at it.
Radiation is.
Maybe radiation. Maybe we're all
Maybe
like,
we're all
Have you
like,
got a Geiger counter
I
on it?
haven't, no.
So
I
yeah,
really
that
got
would be
it.
interesting to see if there's
This is a
UV
strange
radiation
thing.
coming off of it.
See, I would give it to someone like to check it, but I don't
See how
want to
quick
give it
that
because
ice
I'm scared
melted?
I'll never get it back.
You're gonna get it back. So,
You know?
so how did you come about this?
So I
it just keeps melting the
I
ice.
went to
And
do a
if we
story about a
compare
guy
it-
who was abducted by aliens, and he told me that he
Compare
found
it
this
to
on a
the-
UFO crash landing site. Yeah, in Israel. So yeah,
Said to have come
so it might be not from this
from
Earth,
an
or
alien
it
crash.
might be something that was created by
The rock
the
now
things
is
that the craft is
extremely cold,
emitting
and it
or
still
something.
continues
Yeah.
to melt the ice.
Or someone made it
Faster
somehow.
than my
and I don't
hand, which
fucking
is
know.
my body
I don't
temperature.
know.
Right, you've officially blown my mind.
Yes. Awesome.
Something
Because
I
I thought it might be just bullshit, but
find something I cannot explain.
This is Aaron.
okay.
love
No,
it. Yeah,
I have
Abel.
questions for you. So you said I came to your lecture in the middle.
So
You said like this.
So yeah, even each time it melted the ice cube, it took on the cold of the the chill of the ice, to the point where the rock itself was almost as cold as an ice cube, but it still kept melting the ice like 4 times faster than body heat would. And later I tried taking a lighter to it. Did I tell you this, Don? I held the lighter to it for like 15-20 seconds, and soot collected. So I went to touch the rock where the flame had been burning, and the soot rubbed off on my finger from the butane, but the surface temperature of the stone did not increase at all after 15 seconds with a lighter directly on it. So it's absorbing the cold of the ice, but not absorbing the heat of the flame. It's just like, it was so bizarre. And while we were at the conference, he got, hello, Stephen Young in the chat.
I was just going to
Why-
I was just going to say,
Why
Steve's
isn't
here.
he in the stream? Did you is the link not working for you, Steve? We were just were your ears burning? We were just talking about you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I did send you. Oh, maybe I didn't send him one. Hold on. Let me get him a link. 1 second.
Oh, that's interesting. Shepherds of Truth.
My mistake. All right. Let's see here. Dun, dun, dun. Sorry, Steve. I thought I sent you the link already. There we go. It's in Telegram. You should be in any second. So yeah, so while he was at the conference, this guy with the rock, he got some results back from a laboratory, and I think they said it was like 90, like a high 90% silica, and then some trace minerals or elements, and then there were things that they they didn't know what they were. They couldn't identify it. So that lends some credence to the possibility that maybe it actually did come from a UFO crash site. Who knows? So this is the main stage. This is Jerry Pollack talking, and yeah, his like I said, he covered a lot of the things that he did in this talk in his interview with Alec, and that's so worthwhile. There's so much valuable information there.
From the easy water that diffuse into your body, and we have evidence that electrons directly build easy water, and that's probably what these electrons flow into your cells and help build easy water.
We got a little rain as well.
Substances known since Ayurvedic times are great for your health, and I know that a lot of you know about these. So turmeric is
This is the restaurant. Great food, great vibe. The nice thing about this location is that it's permanent, so they don't have to worry about being displaced and, you know, having landlords that don't like the subject matter. And there he is. Welcome, sir.
Hi,
Hey there.
Steve.
Uh-oh. Can't hear you. Wait.
Can't hear you.
Steve. I can't hear you. Can't hear you. He can't hear us. Can't hear you. It's Mercury retrograde. Oh,
Okay, what about now?
Yes.
yeah.
Hey, sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah, I didn't. I messaged you. I wasn't sure if it was happening. Like I searched up on YouTube and stuff. I didn't see it on your profile, but yeah, I guess I didn't. Yeah, I didn't get the link, but I'm here now.
Awesome. Welcome. Yeah, we just I just played that little video when you saw that rock for the first time.
Yeah, I just as I came in, I saw the video. I saw myself on the screen. And I was like, "Whoa!"
Oh no, they're talking about me. Yeah, it's yeah, just kind of going through some of my photos and some of the clips. Yeah, there's some music clips coming up that you figure prominently in. This is my Confluence roommate, tent mate. We had a great time.
Yeah,
I was your
man.
neighbor. I was your neighbor.
Yeah. Yes, Don was my neighbor.
Don was next
Saw
door
each other
with
every morning.
Lara.
Lara Day, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, fun
Nice.
times. And because I haven't seen you since then, Mike, you've been on many an adventure, no doubt, in the last, what, two months or so since it's been?
A little over a month. I was there almost
yeah,
five weeks. Yeah. Yeah. But when I got back, I was jet lagged hard, and the heat was dramatic after, you know, it was a big jump in heat. And then I had some challenges getting back with the flight. So I ended up getting back the night before I had a fully booked clinic. So I got in at 8:30 at night, and I had 3 hours to clean and prepare the clinic and my papers and everything to work and that whole week was super busy because it was my first week back. So I was wiped out after that week and down for the count for a few days after that. So it's taken me a while to get back on track, but I'm feeling good now. It's just it's been blistering heat. So yeah.
It was. I find it quite hard to get back into routine because I had a bunch of trips after Confluence as well, and so it was about a month of like up and down and all kinds of excitement, and yeah, it definitely took a while to just like get back to
family
work
stuff
and start creating again. Yeah, I had a holiday and I had visitors, and yeah, just some other things in May. It was quite a busy month. But
I
yeah,
was wondering if this might actually be an appropriate time, as the three of us are here and the three of us are going to be together again in September, whether it's a good time to mention September. And
Yes,
yeah,
I've got that queued up here. Wait.
Oh, okay.
Second.
It's just you know, because you're going to go on to other things, so you know, I'll probably pop out later.
Let's see. Oh, I had. There they are, right here.
I did see something at the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is. Wait, that's me asking Perplexity how to solve my problems. Yeah. So this is it. Illuminate and Elevate. September 13th and 14th. This is going to be outside of London, right? It's pretty close to central London.
Yes, it's about 20 minutes from Gatwick Airport. It's in Sussex, East Sussex, a place called East Grinstead, which doesn't sound like a pretty name, but it's a lovely place. I've been there. So yeah, and the actual hall, it's called Meridian Hall, and the Meridian runs through it.
Oh, really?
Oh, cool.
That's interesting. Because
countryside around. Yeah, sorry, go on.
You're talking about the prime meridian. You're talking about zero time. Yeah. You know where else that meridian runs through?
Go on.
St. Andrews.
Go.
Oh, really?
Really?
Right through the mouth. I don't know if that means anything, but it's definitely interesting. It's
well, that is
another
because
one of those little things.
Yeah, because I shall be seeing that soon after this event as well. So yes.
Yeah, it's a little get together that's going to happen that I guess the two of you are both going to be there for, and some others. So it's going to be fun. But at this event,
anyway, let's get back to Illuminate and Elevate. Yes.
Yeah.
So if anyone's in England,
I've been listening to Mark Devlin for years. Andrew Kaufman as well. I haven't heard of Camilla Fayed.
Yes, Camilla. She runs Pharmacy. It's spelt with an F. It's a biodynamic farming. The food is lovely. So yes. As opposed to Pharmacies. Well, yes.
Because the P is silent. People don't realize that the P in pharmacy is silent.
Absolutely.
Pharmacy.
Yeah. Yeah. So and then there's the inimitable Don Lester and Stephen Young.
Some crazy looking guy with hair there.
Yeah, look at your hair, man. It has a life of its own. I love that shot. And yours truly.
Oh, the big grin. Somebody with a big grin, yes.
Yeah, happy to be invited. And Martin Liedtke from Flat Earth British. He's been streaming for years, probably thousands of hours of content. Incredibly knowledgeable guy, entertaining to listen to, real wordsmith. It's going to be fun to see him. And Mark Devlin as well is just such a remarkable speaker, speaks from the heart, so eloquent, so knowledgeable. And he's written at least 3 books or 4, I think, called Musical Truth, exposing the dirty secrets of the music industry on all levels. And him and Mike Williams, the Sage of Quay, are 2 guys that I spent a lot of time listening to in the years before COVID hit. And when COVID came along, they were also fearless when it came to speaking the truth and calling out the bullshit. So yeah, and there's a few more people here I've not seen or heard of, but looking forward to learning from some new people. It's going to be an awesome event, and it's September 13th and 14th. So mark that in your calendars if at all possible. Check it out. It's bound to be fun.
Will you be sharing a link to that?
I can do that right now.
Yes, because there's because that is Rebecca. That's Rebecca's website, Rebecca Scott, who has worked on an Acapulco. She's one of the co-organizers with Lisa Strabak and me. So it's her website, Create More, where you can see more about the speakers and also links for getting tickets. So yeah.
Yeah, and shout out to Rebecca because she's awesome, and she's also did the lineup for Acapulco the last couple years. I don't know how long she's been doing that, but at least 2 that I know of, and also Librepolco. So if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have been invited to those events. So
yes, well, she was certainly instrumental in me going to Librepolco, where the 3 of us were there as well. So yes, we managed to meet in person.
Around.
And meeting in person, which I think is it's part of the impetus behind this, because we want to say, well, why can't we do something in England? So I mean, I know your audience is probably all over the place, but you know, if there are people in England or people who can travel, that would be wonderful.
And these kinds of events, I think, are going to start popping up more and more. People are getting tired of the BS, and they want you know, quality content that's going to empower them, and they're going to learn stuff and have fun and also enjoy music. You know, and I was saying before that the music, the quality was super high, and the messages were fantastic, and just all kinds of truth. And I've got some clips. We're getting to those, but I'll go into this more at the end. But this is another festival that I know that Steve is going to be attending, and also Mark Gober is there, and several others. This is in Australia, so this is their second year. Their first year, they had something like 700 or 800 people, which is amazing for a first year for an event of this nature. And I think they're predicting they might have as many as 2,000 this time. So I'm going to cover that at the very end in more detail. But yeah, definitely some things to check out if it's at all possible in your budget. It's well worth it. I would say that these are the kinds of events that can, you know, they can be life-changing. Let's see, where is there it is. Yeah, I mean, that can be tossed about in, you know, cliche, oh, it's life-changing, but these kind of events can really be life-changing. This was Ana Maria Oliva's talk. She was speaking about the energetic field of the body. She's amazing. And yeah. Oh, there's that.
That's a good one.
There's a lot of pictures of us.
That's what I was saying. It's like an electrical charge.
Here's another
or something where it's taking out the electrical charge that maintains the bond or whatever. It's dielectric.
You can see that.
It's like a dielectric.
I took another rock from outside. Oh, it's not even like.
Put it on my hand. I gotta tell you, I was working my brain on tip. Hey, put it on my hand. Figure out what's going on here. Just from your description, even now that I didn't see it.
It's just so bizarre.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
This is I'm gonna tell him about this.
Yeah. And it's going through. Is it going through or going around?
It's going around.
It's going around. But
a lot drips off.
The rope becomes so cold. Yeah, but it's not, I don't think it's water going
That's
through.
just unreal.
Just like
that rock right now is so cold. It feels like it came out of the freezer. And it's still melting that ice at like 4 times the rate that your hand is.
Look at this. It feels like it's glued.
It's just nuts. Yeah, that was one of those inexplicable things, like children reading blindfolded. Joe Raffiti.
Let's go to church first.
Wait, I just want to preface this. He's just come out with a new album called Scorpio. Awesome rap, and he's also one of the 2 guys that has the Here for the Truth podcast, and they're just awesome. Him and Yerasimos, and hey, we have another guest. Hi there.
Hello.
Hey. Hi, Mark.
Hey, Mark.
Nice to be with all of you.
Yeah.
We're just reminiscing. I figured I'd wait a month so that, you know, when we were longing for these moments, you know, it would be it would be more refreshing. But just playing some music clips and telling stories, and we'll talk in a minute. Let me just finish with a couple of the music clips.
Heal yourself. Oh, but there's nobody coming. You already are. Freedom is a state of mind. Everything you need, man, you got right now. There is no one more equipped to come and walk this ground. Time to get real. Take a look at your surrounds. If you really want to be what you claim that crown, it's time to break the shackles off. I'm bringing fire to the frost. The world's not taken, the crew with the cost. The power in your soul, that's the value lost. I can smell mediocre. You either wake up and drive or converge or murder. You're either here to play or giving up that control. Or in my life, I wanna be the composer. I am aiming for those out and taking the bait, man. This ain't no Oza. Check out my flow shot, pour out my own heart. I'm hungry, Bogart, I got the main part. Everything I said I did, I made my money from the month when everybody thought I couldn't. They hit me with the wall every time I was acquitted.
Oh, dude.
Just an example of how much fun it was. And what a beautiful location, huh? I took this photo and it was just with this woman in it. I've forgotten her name now, but she was real sweet, and just we had some rain, we had some sun, we had a little bit of everything. And Sridhar Boyana in the chat is asking me if I know about J. Tolan Media. Absolutely. The guy's a legend with his infrared long-distance photography. Nobody has seen further than J. Tolan. And Mike Winner, I found out that I'm actually competing with Alpha Vedic right now, and I had no intention of doing that, so sorry about that, guys. But he's here in spirit, and I'm there in spirit. Lara Day, she's the one with the oracle cards. Is that what they're called?
Yes. Yeah.
Really great lady. Such wonderful energy. Some awesome T-shirts out there. Follow the money, seek the truth. Uh-oh. What happened to Mark? There you go. Food, not pharma. Like I said, the P is silent in pharmaceuticals. So Mike Winner and Matt, right? Is that his name? Or is that Ian? That's Matt.
That's Matt, yeah.
That's Matt, yeah. Two of the guys doing the Music and Sky conference, and Alec, Justin. These are, like I said, this is kind of a travel log for me, but it's nice to revisit. Hey, there's Mark. Mm-hmm. Mark and Kelly Brogan. Fun to hang out with absolutely living legends. So, how are you doing, Mark? What have you been up to?
I'm great. Well, I had a nice conversation with Dawn the other day.
That was great.
Which launched. So, Dawn, it's nice to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you too.
But otherwise, Mike, nothing too major going on. I've done a bunch of interviews since coming back, and I've seen some Confluence people. I was with Curtis Stone and a crew the other night, Mike Cardamone. So it's good to get back together with the crew because it feels like a rekindling of the energy.
Did you see Curtis in Texas?
Yes, Curtis was in town.
Uh-huh. Okay, because he lives in Canada, right?
Right.
So he came down a second time.
Yes.
He said he might pop in for a chat, so we might see him later. Cool. So you guys were just hanging out, or was he there?
He was in town. He was in town for an interview, so a few of us got together.
Steve, did you interview with Alec and Luke while you were there? Did you do interviews in Austin?
No, I did get an invite, but it would involve making another trip to go back, which I sort of tentatively planned to do, but haven't organized yet.
Okay. All right. Yeah, let's see here. I'm going to fly through these. There's Yerasimos of Here for the Truth. Sorry about that. Loud. DJ Mike Winter in the house. Giving people a sense of what the vibe was like, and maybe it'll encourage them to go next year. Clearly, people were enjoying themselves. Oh, especially Mark.
I was loving it.
Wanted to showcase a little bit of the music because it's so good.
That's the thing, that it's not just talks and workshops and serious stuff. It's fun. It's meeting people. It's being together.
Yeah, absolutely. Late nights around the fire. Were you gonna be? I think it was up till 4 a.m. that night, and then up for the 9 a.m. talk the next morning. So it's no wonder I crashed when I got back to Spain. Mike Cardamone. He's hilarious. He gave an amazing comedy routine / presentation. It was awesome.
Yeah, that was so funny.
Truth hitting comedy, and
yeah,
he had everyone in stitches. There's so many funny moments. He's got a great channel called Don't Slap Snooze, with lots of little short humorous videos on the madness that the world became 5 years ago, and other topics as well. So check him out. Don't Slap Snooze. And lots of Mark gave an incredible talk as well. People absolutely loved your talk. Nobody puts together the information like you do. or as fast as you do.
Yeah, very fast, very sharp. It's really engaging, and huge standing ovation at the end as well for the subject matter that you were dealing with as well. I mean, I was really encouraged to see that. Very inspiring.
An end to upside down cosmology, right?
Yeah, that was the primary topic. I think I ventured into other areas too. I spoke with Don about this, that I didn't go in with a specific plan. I really wanted to feel the energy of Confluence and of the people there that morning. My time got moved around. I think I was supposed to speak maybe the day before. I don't remember how it worked, but my stage got switched, my time got switched, and I just really wanted to feel where everyone was. Especially, like you said, Steve, the subject matter can be very triggering for people. And there were people in the audience who, number one, had never heard of me before, and then other people who were not familiar with challenging mainstream cosmology. And I wanted to be careful with the way that I approached it. That's what I remember. I don't remember everything I said, but I did hear from people afterwards that they had questions. They weren't saying you're totally wrong. They just had follow-on questions. And when I see that, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
It means people are thinking, and that's the point. And then, it opens. But you led into it. You didn't start with that. You were talking about other things, and you led into it.
Right. Yeah, I led in with my journey, what led me to challenge that topic, especially when we get into, dare I say it, flat Earth. That even though to me it's much more than that, but the minute you say that term, some people shut down, and they might assume that this is just a belief you've had for your whole life. For me, it's book 7 in a series of 7 books so far. So there were many other topics I had looked at, and I wanted to make sure people were aware of the other paradigm shifts that I had in my own life, and that this paradigm shift around cosmology mirrors the other paradigm shifts in terms of the logical fallacies that we're told to believe are simply true, or assumptions that we're told to be true. There are parallels in other domains, and I wanted to draw those parallels.
And you do it so well. I heard you speak at Music and Sky for the first time. I'd heard your name like half a dozen times, and I didn't know who you were. And then I caught your talk, and you spoke without notes so eloquently and in such an organized fashion. I was blown away. I was like, I can put on a presentation, but I need my visual aids to help me out. Yeah, and since then I've dipped into a few of your books, and the most recent book, I think it had 50 pages of references or something along those lines. So you're not just coming up with these ideas on your own. You're actually dismantling a lot of mainstream narratives based on the prevailing scientific understandings, and then actually showing how things just don't add up.
Well, to be very clear, these are not my ideas at all. I've come late to the party, and all three of you are cited in my book. So I'm standing on the shoulders of giants here and just synthesizing.
That was a proud moment for me. Definitely.
Yeah, I felt the same. I felt like I was late to the party, with all this information, because it has been out for a long time. I mean, on the internet, obviously, maybe since 2013 or so. But when you start looking into the history of it, you realize people have been arguing about this for decades, hundreds of years. It is there once you start looking. So we're not really presenting anything new. We're just sort of saying, we've looked at it and we think there's something to it. That was really the task, which is even a hard task in itself, because just to say, oh, I think the flat earthers have a point, you're just opening yourself up to all kinds of ridicule and attack. But such is it's just the nature of the game, right?
Well, I think the term is just inherently divisive, and it's also, in my opinion, a false dichotomy, because it suggests that you're having to choose between a globe or a pizza in space, and that's not the case at all. And you don't actually have to know what things are to disprove a faulty paradigm. And that's what I think both of you are absolutely brilliant at helping people to understand. I interviewed Steve, I don't know how long ago it was, on this channel, and your book, A Fool's Wisdom, is a perfect primer, as is your most recent book, when it comes to introducing people to the idea that there's actually way more to this subject than people realize. And a lot of people have these knee-jerk reactions that just want to hand-wave dismiss it, but they don't realize that some of the smartest people in the world are championing these ideas.
And one of the problems is being caught, the whole idea of flat earther, because after our conversation, Mark, I also put the video up on my Odyssey channel, and somebody's already made a comment and, just, oh, flat earther. And just, I don't think he could have heard, because you didn't say you believed in flat earth, and yet some people jump to conclusions just because we're saying that the globe hasn't been proved.
Yes, I think it's important the reason my book is called An End to the Upside Down Cosmos is because we're talking about the cosmos. That includes the shape of Earth. What is the nature of this place or this realm? Is it an oblate spheroid with a radius value of roughly 4,000 miles at the equator, which is a very specific claim? But that's not the only issue. The other issue is, what is Earth's place in the cosmos? Is Earth occupying a central location? Is Earth revolving around the sun? Is there something else? That's another question, because you could have a different shape or realm with, these are independent areas to look at: Earth's location, Earth's shape, and then even how did we get to this point? Was there a Big Bang that preceded everything? And they're all part of the same big question of, where do we live? And sometimes if someone hears you mention one part of the argument, they'll pigeonhole you into saying that you're only talking about one thing. But it's typically because they're not aware of all of the various components.
Yeah. you have a situation where the school and university system literally produces globers. So, when you're talking to people, you could be talking to somebody who's known about flat Earth for 10 years. You could be talking to somebody who's just heard about it from the very first time from your mouth, right, in this moment, right? So, and then they can, have a huge reaction to it, just like, what the hell are you talking about? So, we're trying to talk about this important subject of cosmology and where we live, but the education system is basically producing people who come out with the belief in the total opposite of what we're saying. So it's a funny situation. I try to laugh about it. It is serious, it is important as well, but it is also kind of funny.
None of us ever thought we'd be here
part of this,
thinking about these things, let alone talking about them.
Yeah.
Well, I've got even crazier ideas that I'm championing. Okay. So, Yeah. Let's see. Let me just pull this up again. I'm gonna breeze through these remainder of these. This is Bailey and Mike. They're newlyweds. Absolutely wonderful people. Had so much fun hanging out with them. And they're checking out that rock. The rock was one of the most one of the craziest parts of the event. So Adam Bigelson, Mike Cardamone. This man is absolutely wonderful. I've been following him for a couple of years on Instagram. Did he speak at the event, or was he just there? I don't know if he spoke. His name is Dean Hall, and he is a cancer survivor. And he, similar to, it's just, cold therapy and exercise. He went to the river where he lived to cure himself of cancer. He had late stage cancer and just, felt compelled to spend a lot of time in the freezing waters, and healed himself and went on to swim, I think, like a 250-mile long river in Ireland for charity. And it's just one of the most inspiring people. So check him out on Instagram, Dean Hall. That was his wife. I don't recall her name. Really, really wonderful people, both of them. Got an amazing full moon. Don't know what that thing is, but it was beautiful. And this was Veda's talk, full house, talking about her discoveries that have to do with water, and that it may have a sentience, definitely has an intelligence. It seems to be holographic, as we know from the Bigelson's work, and it's just a far out thing. And this guy blew me away. Presence with a Z.
That I make to myself. Prioritize physical, mental, and spiritual health. Like it's rough, I'm rising above.
Stacy Sunshine. Hi, Stacy. See you in the chat too. Making the most of every single minute today. And the power of presence of making my essence intentions they fade. Strong intentions. His lyrics were amazing. How he remembers them, I have no idea, because they're just like a machine gun. So groovy, such a vibe, and so uplifting.
Governmental gobierno, they only exist to take your money and not dinero. I ain't scared of nothing, I ain't moving, I ain't budging. Lot of population trusting. The bullshit we be getting, that assess the situation. If you want liberation, no disinformation, pollute your clear mind. Some be caught up in the lies, must be all the fluoride. 99, keeping them mindless, spineless, fine with it. I got no time for this. I'm taking a trip into the future, no master, no slave. Gonna be living with our ruthless manipulation, we maneuver, no job and no
So groovy.
Right now, history now in the making. Freedom is ours for the taking, yes. History now in the making. Freedom is ours for the taking. History now in the making. Yeah, I see. Hey, yo,
Yeah. So
incredible.
He's so talented. You guys were jamming together for a while. I'm not sure if I got any of that. Oh, I did.
Oh, I hope not.
I can skip it.
I was getting quite late by that point, and I think I'd had a little too much to smoke.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case.
Presence was incredible. I got to say, like, I mean, I'm pretty jaded with music. You know, hundreds of festivals, and like 10 years full time in the music business. I've got a low tolerance for it now, but Presence, wow! I mean, what a talent! Like, and with the music, the lyrics, and he makes it all as he goes. He'll play in the beat, play in the bass, play in the guitar, and then he'll just pick up the mic and just like riff out a whole entire song. And it is really some of the best music I've ever heard. So shout out to Presence.
Yeah, absolutely. I agreed on all points. He was so good, and I'm amazed by these people like my buddy Alex, who was in the chat earlier. They can do it all. Anyway, so I had the pleasure after Confluence of going with Don Lester, who's here with us in the chat, and we went to visit Brandon Thomas and his wife, or actually they picked us up, and we went to their ranch north of where Confluence was. And so after that, I got to interview with this gentleman, which I'll share some of, but that's a great shot of you two.
Oh, that's lovely.
I like that one.
Oh, that's lovely.
Do you want any of these? Let me know.
Yes, I'll have that one. Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, and that was Rebecca. Yes, Rebecca.
Yes.
Oh, there's Brandon.
Rebecca
yes.
skipped over, but yeah, this is Rebecca, who we were talking about before, who's done the lineups for the different conferences and is helping to organize the Illuminate and Elevate conference.
Yes, thank you.
Awesome lady.
Because the next one, there's Brandon and Mary on the left. Yeah.
Yeah, and when these events start, you just feel like they're going to go on forever, and then before you know it, they're over. And this was everyone kind of saying goodbyes. Brandon, that's Brandon there on the left, who arrived with his wife Mary to pick us up, and we got the pleasure of going and staying with them at their ranch. This is Ishan. He's such a beautiful young man.
He was in the chat earlier too. I don't know if he's still there.
Was he? Oh, I missed it.
Yes, he was right at the beginning. He picked up on the 17. You're talking 17, so yeah. But just to say, Brandon's podcast is Expanding Reality.
Yep, I was going to get to that.
Amazing. Oh, okay.
Yep, he's had like 350 episodes or something like that, and he just interviewed Crow 777 recently. He interviewed me some months ago, and then we were both on. I think it's once a month they do the Frequency Theorists, and it's just it's a cool online gathering of people sharing interesting ideas, and so Don and I were in the one last month, and I missed the one that was a few nights ago. I wasn't able to get to it, but those are definitely worth checking out. And so this is as we headed up to their ranch, stopped for lunch in probably one of the most American places I've ever seen. And then I crashed on the grass out by the city hall and got hassled by a cop who thought I was a homeless person. And I haven't gotten his permission to share this, but I'm going to anyway. Or not this particular performance. Brandon performed for the first time.
I toured China for a month, which was incredible.
all over the US.
I'm gonna
put
play
it
this
down.
one.
So I wrote a bunch of songs and then stopped.
I hope he's cool with this,
back,
but
so...
he was invited and he's not here, so shame on him. But this was his first time on stage performing live in 10 years, and actually it was I wanted to play. I'm gonna play a different clip, but he's incredibly talented guy, and a super dynamo. This is their ranch. They've got a labyrinth that he's got this mower that I got to ride. He posted it on a clip of me riding it around on Instagram, but I didn't have a chance to pull it down for this stream. But that was fun to walk every night that I was there. This just long snaking labyrinth, lots of things in bloom, big property with some animals as well. What is it, 6 or 7 donkeys?
I think 6, yeah. I can't remember the name, so don't ask.
He built that whole thing there himself. And these are the donkeys. I don't remember any of their names either. But... And then what's the dog's name?
Yokai.
Yokai. Yokai. What an adorable dog. And
she is.
Loves to chase balls. And great, wonderful cat named Sam, same as my son's name. I was cuddling with their cat Sam several days, and then I went to Erasimos's place, and they had a cat named Sam that I was cuddling with again. It's my son's name, so it reminded me of my son.
And I should add with Mark here that it's actually thanks to Mark that I know Brandon. So yeah.
Oh really?
Mark introduced me to Brandon. So yeah.
So thanks to Mark that I know Brandon.
Well, it's funny, Mike. I was interviewing with Brandon, I forget how many months ago, and I said, "Hey, Brandon, have you heard of Mike Wilkerson's work?" And he said, "Actually, I have an interview scheduled." So I had a sense that you two would connect.
Awesome. Yeah, and
I was going to offer to introduce you to.
Oh, and you recommended somebody, and I think I forgot to get back to him. I have to respond to an email. I've been trying to catch up after the trip. So nice frog. There's Sam the cat, and I think this is as Dawn was saying goodbye. She only had a few days, but I stayed a week with them total.
Dreadful photo, but that's better.
That is a wonderful photo.
That's much better. That's a lovely one. Yeah. I'll have that one. Thank you. Sure. You can share a copy. Thank you.
This is him live streaming after I got to ride the bad boy. Where is that?
Where Stellium 7, Mike Wilkerson can come hang out, and he's been running this bad boy around, literal bad boy. See?
Yeah, it's literally
this bad boy.
The bad boy.
So he's been on the bad boy.
Bad boys on bad boys.
And been having a blast. Man,
yeah.
Are we filming each other?
We're filming each other. I'm not live. Hi, Instagram.
I'm telling about our this 2:30 thing.
Yeah. So it was a blast, and then one of the things I learned from him, he's got a phrase that I love. He says, disoblige and create. That's his solution to everything. Disoblige and create. And he's a very creative guy. He's constantly disobliging as well. So he lives up to it. And showed me how to make a little pouch for my pipe. And yeah. And I'm just going to, this was his family. I got to have dinner with his mom and dad, and went to the most Texan American restaurant I've ever been in my life. And he gave me that arrowhead, which is now adorning my hat right here. Love this thing. Sewed it on. The lighting isn't very good, but it's a green arrowhead, which is pretty cool. I think it's jade or something. So if anyone wants to make a band for me around that, I've got a couple feathers I'll I'll put in my cap if I get a band to hold them on. Yeah, so then from there down to the way forward, where he is just getting a feel for what that chair looks like. I'm sure he'll be in it someday, but I was interviewing with Alec, and that's going to be coming out soon. We had a great talk, and I've edited in a bunch of visuals for the things that we were talking about. So it was awesome to be there, and beautiful studio. And so I'm going to play this. I'm going to also run to the bathroom, but and I hope he's not going to be upset with me for doing this, but I don't think he will. This is awesome. This was him playing for Alec.
Somebody else and got a lesson for her happiness. Next people's fall to the floor. Now one more chance and not to feel once more. I know it shows, but hey, that's how the game goes. I thought that I could tell her everything I wanted to, but I was wrong. My only comfort is the pen and this guitar that helped me write this song. Oh, now get tripped over my thought of her smile that's gonna bring me to my knees from time to time for a while. So yeah, it seems to me love's just this mystery you never get until it's gone. Just take some time to realign and continue on. The day's rather bright, but the open road to be my guide. I turn up the tunes and let my heart beat past the news. Very pressed to the floor, I drop it till I think of her no more. Oh, that ain't me. Now she don't know what that means. I told you I could tell her everything about it, but I was wrong. My only comfort is the pen and this guitar. Let me write this song. When I get tripped up my floor, smile that's gonna bring me to my knees until the top of the ride. So yes, it's me, it's just this mystery you never get until it's gone. Just take some time to realign and continue. So I'm back again. I'm free to be my favorite me again. And all the while, banishing every little thing that looked like love. And so it goes, my friend. No, it's up to me to see this world's worth living in. I turn for the best, I take the most of the worst, and I've been giving. I told you I could tell her everything I wanted to, but I was wrong. My only comfort is the pen and this guitar that we write this song. I get tripped over my floor of a smile that's gonna bring me to my knees and come to time for a ride. So yes, it's me, it's just this mystery you never get until it's gone. Just take some time to realign and continue on. what's wrong. My only comfort is playing this guitar to help me write this song. And I'll get tripped up by the thought of her smile. It's bound to bring me to my knees from time to time. And there's some little still yes, it seems to me there's just this mystery. Never get until it's gone. Just take some time to rewind and continue on.
Woo!
Awesome. Dude, that was so good. Did you write that? Yeah. Wow.
That was studio ready.
Yeah,
Right there.
Should have threw you on the Shure SM7B and filmed it.
Yeah, talented guy, no doubt about it. That was an original tune. He only plays his own music, and yeah, hopefully he'll be on stage next year at Music in Sky. That would be fun.
Or Confluence and or
All right,
yeah,
that's
Confluence.
Confluence, but
Yeah, because I
yeah.
mean, Alec.
Either
Yeah.
or, both and.
Yeah. Well, yes. What did you think, Steve?
Yeah, I thought that was absolutely awesome. Yeah, really good. I need to get back to Brandon because I was meant to go on his podcast last year, and then I just it didn't happen, and yeah, we didn't reconnect. But yeah, that was really impressive.
Yeah, he's
Well,
an exceptional interviewer.
He is incredible.
Yeah. And so the next leg of my journey, I left Austin after interviewing with Alec, and then went to California and stayed a night with Sam. And he and I've crossed paths now like 8 or 9 different times in the last year and a half in like 4 different countries, different continents, and he's a lot of what I've been doing over the last year when it comes to these events is I can thank him for, because I think he might have put Rebecca onto my stuff, and just have had so much fun hanging out with him. And the woman in the middle is the lady who has done the formatting and the proofing on my book. So I got to meet her in person, and really awesome lady, Sue Falcon. And yeah, it's and then I went to this guy's place, second time hanging out at Casa Gerasimos and Sophie, and here he is with his chickens, beautiful chickens, like the healthiest looking chickens I've ever seen, and the eggs were fantastic. Got some backgammon in, got to meet some family. This is my cousin, my aunt and uncle, my mom, and went to my hometown, Ojai, and this is the main street. That's the movie theater that I used to work in when I was a teenager. And it's just gotten nicer and nicer. It's like reverse gentrification. You know, these places that are so beautiful, everything keeps going up in price when it comes to real estate. And so the more expensive everything is, the more money people have to buy it, and then the more money they have to make it nicer. So instead of everything getting more and more run down as time goes on, the exact opposite has happened in my hometown. I used to live right up here. This is just behind the arcade in the center of town. It's where I was living when I was doing my hacking exploits. And yeah, that's another angle on it. And just an adorable little place.
Oh, hi. It's just so adorable.
Like I said.
Look at this. Somebody's front yard. We're selling bird houses. Look at this cute little lady here.
The cluster of the tomatoes.
My mom and my grandfather are both. Well, my mom is a fantastic gardener, and my
climbing up the
grandfather
terraces.
was an amazing gardener
And
doing
now we're
organic
getting
farming
close to the
before people knew what it
coolest
was.
bookstore on earth, where I hope to have my book sold someday. Bart's Books.
This place is so cool. I just had to share it. I used to go here all the time when I was a little
outdoor
kid.
bookstores in the world. It's been here since when? See, that looks like it's inside, but it's actually outside. Got all these books here. If you like one of the books, you just grab it, and there's a little price in there, and it could be anything from $0.25 to a few bucks or something, and you just throw it in the patio if it's after hours and locked. It's an honor system. This place, 7 days a week. There we go.
Luckily, Ojai has a dry climate, so the books don't get ruined.
You head on the street that way, and you get the signal.
Yeah, and just some other views.
And where would you expect to find books on cooking? In the kitchen, perhaps?
Cool typewriters. Is this how you write your books, Mark?
Yes.
I figured, yeah. You just collate all those papers and then type it out on the Remington.
Exactly. Old school.
Yeah. This was the expensive book section. There were some real high-priced classics in there. And Ojai is just so amazing. If you ever get the chance in Southern California, it's about 45 minutes from Santa Barbara. You go down the coast and then inland about 20 minutes. This is an amphitheater. I once performed the role of Puck in A Midsummer Night's Dream in this spot, so this has a real special place in my heart. And we incorporated this section with this amazing tree into the play. So the play was happening on stage, but there were other parts of the performance that were over here as well. And that was back when I was 16. And this is just a wetland that they recently built. I was there last year when I went to Music and Sky, and I thought it was a Mandela effect. I was like, what is going on? Because this area is right next to my high school, and it used to be fields, and I was in those fields many times and never saw this wetland. And I thought like somebody had edited reality, but turned out that they built it. And while I was there, I had a wonderful synchronicity, which I'll tell you in a second. Walking down this path, there was a bench that I went and sat on, and beautiful night. And while I was sitting there, this old man walks up. You'll see a photo of him in a second. He's in his 80s, and I'm having a puff on my pipe, and he says, "Are you smoking a pipe? I never see anybody do that these days." And he's like, "I've got a whole collection of them." He sat down next to me, and we started having a conversation on the bench. And within 2 minutes of talking to him, he tells me he's a chiropractor. And I was like, of course you are. It's just, I happen to be there for the one day a year that they have the art in the park. Lots and lots of artists and jewelers, gallery stuff. And it was awesome. Nice day with my mom. Oh, this was funny. I was with a friend and we were having a smoke, and I heard them doing a sound check, and they started playing the Chris Isaak song "Wicked Game," and I was like, "Oh, that sounds like Chris Isaak." And it turned out it was Chris Isaak, and he was performing the next night in this amphitheater, and so I decided to buy tickets, and I took my mom to the show. And we got the cheap seats. Which turned out to be front row because he had this wireless microphone. So he's walking around the audience.
Thanks for coming. Drive safely.
He's joking because he said that was like the second song. And so he comes out for a walk, and then he's like, well, thanks for coming. And he said, we're going to go really long. It was their last performance of their tour. They finished in Ojai. And yeah, so
it was a hell of a show tonight. You know, some nights I just got it, and tonight I was just on fire, man. That whole set just flew by. Rolly, let's do an encore. Hey, Sensei, Mr. Powell. Yes. Why don't you give me some music? Go ahead.
How about that for front row?
I've spent most all my life searching for life four-leaf clover.
Stop it. When I said music, I was thinking something that I would sing.
All right.
Sounds like Biden.
Play a good one. Is this one of mine?
Anyway, that was a fun little chapter.
Mike, I'm going to have to jump off for another commitment, but thank you for having me.
Thank you for
Ron
coming.
and Steve, great to see you.
Check out Mark Gober, all of his books, the Upside Down series. They are amazing, especially the most recent one. Great to gift to friends whose minds you want to open to the nature of our reality.
Thank you. And most importantly, the book features Mike Wilkerson, Don Lester, and Steve Young in the prose. Thank you all.
Thanks, Mark. Thank you. Bye.
So I don't want to be a party pooper, but I'm going to have to dash out as well.
That's
yeah,
totally understandable. I'm going to go for quite a while longer, even if I'm by myself, because I've got some fun stuff to share. So,
well, it's going to be a great summer. As we said, I've seen you once already. I'm going to be with you again in Australia in a couple of months, and then again in London for Illuminate and Elevate. And there's also this event in Spain that's happening after that as well. So
that's not a formal event. That's more of a get together, but it's going to be awesome. And
it's still another opportunity for the three of us to get together.
Three more opportunities to hang out this summer. So very excited for that. Yeah,
I won't be in Australia, but I will be at the other two. So looking forward to that. And I shall be seeing you online those shortly, Steve.
Yeah.
So we'll sort that out. I'm gonna hop off as well because
right.
yeah.
I'll go.
All right, Mike.
Thank you ever so much. It's been fun. Thank you.
It's been a blast. Thank you both for coming, and we'll be in touch.
Yeah, much love. All right, we'll see you soon.
Much love. Bye.
Bye. All right. So I've got somebody waiting in the wings. I'm going to bring him in here. This is my buddy Steve. Hey, Steve. Hi there. yeah, I'm just about to get to the next leg of my journey, which
Man, you've had quite a tour, dude. That's
you featured.
amazing.
Yeah, it's been awesome. You featured prominently in this this next section that I'll be sharing with people. Got some other things to share first before we get to the time I spent with you and your family. Give my regards to them as well. And yeah, so let's see here. We got, that's at my mom's place. It's a mug I made when I was in my teens. It seems to have shrunk. This is just more in the park. Lady on a didgeridoo. She had it going on, without a doubt.
It's kind of round because we've had about a week.
Yeah, and then my mom and I went to Santa Barbara. We went to this cool gem place that has just all kinds of geological finds in there, which I actually didn't get any pictures of the geology, but the garden was absolutely phenomenal with all kinds of fountains and really wonderful place to just go and hang out for an afternoon, and all kinds of little cozy places
Nice
you can
spot,
sit and couches and one of those cool places in the world. And I don't remember the name of it, but it's in Santa Barbara, and definitely worth a visit if you're in that neck of the woods. Biggest chunk of Himalayan salt I'd seen. And this is the chiropractor that I mentioned before. Also a musician. These are his motorcycles, and he was a drummer in the Los Angeles Philharmonic Orchestra. And he had this beautiful ranch with horses and chickens, and I think there was a couple peacocks as well. And it was a nice synchronicity to run into him, and somebody I'll definitely visit in the future when I'm back in Ojai. And this horse was missing an eye. It was surreal. It almost looks like it's not alive. But it was healthy and happy despite missing an eye. That's the wetlands where I met him. And now I'm on my flight up to Seattle. I'd forgotten how gorgeous it is there. I mean, it is so phenomenal. That's the Olympic Range in the background. So much water. This is between Seattle and Bellevue. That's the Evergreen Floating Point Bridge, which figures prominently in my book. It's the first chapter. I'm actually crossing that bridge, and it's a very entertaining start to the book. Oh, I got somebody in the chat here. Hold on a second. I'm going to bring in, maybe if he wants to join. Randy, would you like to join in? I can send you a link if you like. Let me do that. Dun, 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 dun. Let's see. Where is that? Paste. Nope, that's the wrong link. 1 second. So, oh, right. Copy link. And Randy is he's got a channel called Unintended Consequences, which I can recommend. He's a brilliant guy, a deep thinker, and very eloquent. You should have the link there, Randy. Unintended consequences. He's an OG truther who has a lot of interesting things to say. So definitely check out his channel. Give him a sub. Guy I met on the plane. He was in the pharmaceutical industry, and that's how he looked after an hour of talking with me. I think his head was spinning. And it was my first time in Seattle in 35 years. It was pretty wild revisiting this location. That so much happened there, which half of my book takes place in Seattle and Bellevue and Kirkland, and this tallest building there is the Columbia Tower, 76 stories. It used to be the tallest building on the West Coast, and on the left is the Space Needle. You'll see it up close in a minute, and that's the Smith Tower. I actually worked in that tower for a couple of days, and this is one of the old world buildings. And this ball up at the top here, there's a famous picture that I came across that actually has a Zeppelin that's docking at this ball. And I was working just substituting as a janitor for a couple of nights, helping a friend out. And his friend was the head of security for the building, who actually lived up in the penthouse up here. So he took us up to the top, and I got to see this. And I was already marveling over, like, this is wild up top. Like, he has this penthouse apartment, and then we went up this spiral staircase and then into this glass ball. But it's just another example of we're not necessarily told everything about the past. This is my dad, and we walked around Seattle with a friend of his. It's the monorail track that goes to the Seattle Center, which is where the Space Needle is, former World's Fair location. Then we went to Pike's Place, the market. It's funny, they do this fish tossing there. It's like a spectacle for the tourists where they'll get these big fish and toss them and catch them. And the world's first Starbucks is over here on the left, and definitely a historical location. Seattle is one of those cities that has a whole underground that, they tell one story about it, but really what you're looking at is the lower layers of this city that were mud flooded. And there's so much evidence for that. I can definitely recommend Ben from Waking Up with Analog, his series called Anomalous America. The one that he did on Washington was very interesting. It talks about a lot of the sites. So we just walked around for the day. This is a friend of my dad's, and beautiful city, lots of art, and hasn't changed much. There's more buildings and stuff, but it's more or less almost exactly as I remembered it. This was new, though, a new aquarium.
There goes the shark.
So we spent a few hours walking around, and then there was another sculpture. If you've been here the whole time, I showed a sculpture by the same artist. I don't know the name of the artist, but I saw it in a sculpture of his in Madrid, or actually, I don't even know if it's a him. It might be a woman. And it was kind of cool to see these. They're pretty surreal looking when you see them from a distance or up close. This is Seattle Post-Intelligencer. When I got busted, there were a lot of papers that had the story on the front page of the news, and one of them was the Seattle PI. So it was fun to see the globe and be reminded of that. And this is just a little foreshadowing to what we're going to be talking about shortly with Steve. Sasquatch. the Space Needle from below. I couldn't believe it. It was $70 to go to the top of this thing. I think the last time I went up, it was $5. So it's just ridiculous how expensive it's been. This is the site of the former World's Fair. Got to go to the top of one of these buildings that my dad's friend lives in. And
So Paul looks at this same thing.
like a flying saucer on stilts.
Up here, nothing.
That's the University District where I used to live. Yeah, fly through this. Got to kick back at the top of the building. And that's Bellevue. I used to live right behind those buildings. And I just have to show
This is easily one of the most incredible skies I've ever seen. It is just breathtaking in every direction.
I'm looking at this on a big screen and it just doesn't capture. Oh wow, it's like a dragon. Little pareidolia. Took a trip with my dad to Eastern Washington. Went through the Snoqualmie Pass on the way to, what was it, near Yakima, Natchez, I think is what the town is called. And Steve gave me a heads up before I went, because I told him I was going to be going, to keep a close eye on the mountains as we drove through this canyon on the way to where my dad's girlfriend has a ranch. And he told me that it was all basalt, and it's all basalt. So you can see it here, the hexagonal columns. They go all kinds of different directions. And I'm going to talk a little bit about basalt in a moment. Let me just open the file here. There we go. Yeah, the basalt is, we're told that that's cooling lava. Everything you see here, it's hard to tell in some of the pictures, but everything you see is basalt. It's just covered with a bit of earth, and there's some trees growing on it. But this is all hexagonal porphyry phonolite columns. And it's just a beautiful part of the world. And here you can get a taste of it. And this is the one of the main areas where hops is grown in the world. Microbreweries from all over the world have to get their hops from this region. This is Marguerite's Ranch, their garden. And we went to Chinook Pass, hoping I would see Mount Rainier. There's 10 feet of snow up there at the top of the pass still. So I've had such a wide variety of climates on this journey that I took. But unfortunately, there was too much cloud cover, so I wasn't able to see Rainier. I was really hoping to get a sense of that mountain. It can be seen from well over 100 miles away. And this is my road back. More of the basalt. Got to meet this wonderful person, Kelly. Brandon from Expanding Reality introduced me to her, and she came over and spent an evening. Also, Ben, Waking Up with Analog, came and visited and spent the night. So we got several hours of conversation. It was awesome to meet him in person after talking with him for years. Met with another old friend that I used to room with back when I lived there, named Joel. Forgot to get a picture with him, which I feel like an idiot about. And saw a bald eagle. And that brings us to Steve. So let me introduce you to Steve. Hi, Steve.
Hey, Mike.
Been waiting in the wings for hours. How long are we going? 2 hours. Okay, that's not too bad.
Stream.
Thanks.
Seeing your whole journey.
Yeah, I like to share this, and it's nice to have a little time capsule and recap and share these things with people. So I'm just going to tell people how we met. You reached out to me. I think it was either through Discord or through Telegram, probably Discord, some years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And
back in 2020, I believe, right around time, right before.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
long time ago. All right, so
I saw
5 years ago.
I saw your video on the Heartstones, and I lived right on the river up here at Mount Pilchuck, and I had always wondered why the rocks had a certain shape to them. I always thought it was very unusual that the water would chip away at them or smooth them out to have these very strangely similar shapes. And after I watched your video, I went out with a camera and I started shooting video and pictures of all the rocks on the river. And I was just amazed at basically all the telltale signs that they're biological versus, just chipped off of a rock. Even if they were all Heartstones, there was something very unusual about how they all had similar shapes. But
you started sending me photos of the things that you were finding, and you were finding a lot of the Heartstones as well. And some of them, like a lot of the stone in that region, has far more color than what I get here in Spain. Everything's washed out. I don't know if it's because there's like multiple resets or what, but you were sending some great specimens, and so we had a number of exchanges over the years, and you told me if I was ever in the region to look you up, and so I knew I was coming, and so I looked you up, and I came out to visit you and your family, and this is the view from my tent, or your tent.
A nice little tent on the river,
yeah, just looking up at the sky, and that was it on the right-hand side there, and you staying on the left in the mobile home. In just a breathtaking part of the world. And I promise everybody in the chat, this is going to be more than just travel photos in a moment. We're going to cover some wild stuff. I'd save some of the most exciting stuff for last. And I definitely have Steve to thank for turning me on to this information, because it's been on my radar, but it's never been something that I've actually looked into personally. But we'll talk about that in a second.
Are you going to tell them about the other coincidence of why we came?
Yeah, I was just going to do that. Yeah, so there were a couple of synchronicities that we were laughing about early on when we started our exchanges. And one of them is that the name that you have happens to be the name that I was using when I was flying around the country illegally as a hacker in my teens. So like I went to New York, I went to New Jersey, I was in number of different places, Vermont, Philadelphia, and when I flew, I flew under the name Steve Shepard. So I don't know why I picked that name.
Though, when we first met, you said, wow, he said, there's something very interesting about your name that I'll have to tell you about later. And I mean, we must have chatted like 5 or 6 times after that. I kept saying, when are you going to tell me about this weird connection we have with what does that mean? What are you talking about? So when you finally told me, that was pretty tricky.
And then there was another synchronicity with your family lineage, because it turns out, what is it? Your great uncle? Is that what you said?
Yeah, my great uncle is BJ Palmer. He and his father were the founders of chiropractic. Yeah, so
right.
We've got that.
So his great uncle was the son of the founder, but also really he was prolific in furthering the chiropractic profession after his father passed on, and yeah, so you've got a blood link to the guy who basically created my profession, which is pretty wild. So I like it when there's synchronicities. It always gets my ears perk up.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. You're mentioning the tower in Seattle that you worked at temporarily. My wife's grandfather was the elevator operator for that tower for 25 years.
Wow, that's cool.
Actually, you may have even met him. I don't know.
That's interesting. Those elevators were so gorgeous. Yeah, it's hold on. The Great Baldini is in the chat.
Hello,
hey
friend.
there.
How are you?
Hey, Randy. Sorry, I didn't see you there. I didn't mean to make you
I've
wait.
just been relaxing, watching and listening to you guys. So all great for me. Steve, good to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, it would have been fun if we could have gotten together, the three of us, but there just wasn't enough days, unfortunately. But you guys should definitely get to know each other. I think you would have a nice connection.
I'm to meet new interesting minds.
He's not far from you.
Of us out there.
He's is it near Linwood? Is that where you are?
Yeah, Linwood, Edmonds. Yep.
Yeah.
Just north of it.
So
yeah,
you guys
are real close.
Pretty close. And Randy's got a channel called Unintended Consequences, and he covers lots of wild topics, and is an OG truther that is and a deep thinker. And it's
way back in the day, like 1984, I think. My dad gave me a copy of Epps' book, The Unseen Hand, which covers its subtitle is a conspiratorial view of history, and it covers everything, going back from the primary ones, right, like the Jesuits, Knight Templars, how it all connects, and the modern versions of the Masons and Shriners and kind of all that. New World Order is kind of where it left off. It was just like a quick primer, and then but in 91, 92, when I heard George Herbert Walker Bush used a phrase while I was on TV, New World Order, my eyes blinked and I went, oh boy, here we go. And little did we know how long it would take. It was a slow roll, but here we are. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I had a similar kind of young awakening to a lot of those topics because my dad gave me the book by William Cooper called Behold a Pale Horse when I was 23.
Yeah, the best thing is start asking questions, right? It's unlikely we'll know all the answers, but asking the questions, that's what the good stuff is.
And we're about to ask some interesting questions, definitely, with the footage I'm about to show you. I have a picture of the two of us that's queued up. Is it okay to share that, or do you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. It's somewhere towards the end of this.
People may not like to see it.
Yeah. I should I ask the chat's permission?
I get a great voice for television and a great face for radio. So.
That's a hilarious line. Love it. So back to hanging out by the river. Really awesome. Steve got some clips of me just walking around and doing like a biogeology walk and talk, which he's going to be sharing at a future time in a video. And so I've just got some photos and maybe a couple of clips that we're going to share. So just a truly pristine area, really lush and beautiful. And I can't remember what these are called, but they were like orange raspberries. They were so good. You have a name for them?
My wife remembers what they're called. I can't remember for the life of me. They're like blackberries, but they're related to them. They grow right next to the blackberry bush.
Yeah, it's a cousin, and I can't for the life of me remember what it is called either.
Yeah. So this is down. We went down to the river.
Hey, Steve.
Stay back where you are. I'm gonna get a picture of you with the balls.
Oh, just getting a little video of us.
Oh, you should turn around, get a better shot this way.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
I didn't.
That's just video.
There's the shot. It's a good one. Oh, okay. All right. So let's see. I should have put that one here. Okay. So let's just you want to preface this a little bit. Tell a story.
I mean, other than just I was really excited to bring you up to the area that really inspired me after you made the first video to really help inspire me to start looking at biogeology the way that you do. And to, I've always been very esoteric in my research, and I've always questioned things, and I've constantly been going around the country traveling with my family and photographing strange, geological structures, and curious about, the possibility of them being giant trees. For those of us that have gone down that path that understand that that's probably the truth. And then when you were coming up here, I just wanted to get you out to just show you what I saw and to see what you found. And I think you're going to be the person to really take this. So that's the only primer that I've got. Is I wanted to share with you what I saw up here and how unique it was compared to, like you said, some of the dustier, whiter stones that you have in your region versus the very colorful, bright, and kind of more, maybe fresher. We were talking about plasma events potentially being the reason why certain stones get dustier or whiter over time, and the ones that are maybe more recent from a preset that aren't colored. I don't mean we're just exploring ideas. We've just been spitballing questions, concepts the whole time you're here. So that was great. You just take it away. When it comes to the other stuff, I'll share more.
Yeah, well, that's what I was about to get into. So you want to talk a little bit about it first? Or?
Okay. Yeah. So after we did the river, I took Mike up to another location. We're right at the foothill of the Cascade Mountains in Washington, which is one of the largest areas for Bigfoot sightings aside from Northern California in the entire United States. And that's what's unusual about that is it's not very populated area. So for it to have that many sightings and in relationship to the rest of the country is unique. When I moved up here, I didn't really have that much knowledge or experience with cryptids or Bigfoots at all. I didn't, it was one of those things I had enough evidence to believe that they were real, but they were still mysterious because nobody's ever found one, etc. And when we started living up here, right where we are, we started having very strange things happening on our property. And then we started going out into the woods on hikes and finding very strange things that we couldn't explain with trees and markings on the trees that, just started making us ask questions. And then I found what I would consider the ultimate mind blower, which was it's just better just show the picture, Mike, if you got the picture.
Yeah, so I got a bunch of photos and video clips lined up. There were basically 4 main anomalies that you showed me. And the nice thing is I was kind of primed for this before because Alpha Vedic had a live stream that they did a few months ago with a woman who was deeply knowledgeable about Bigfoot. And so there are a lot of things that I've suspected that they're real for a long time, but it's not ever been something that I was interested in or looked into. I went in, I got deep into crop circles and other topics, but Bigfoot was never something that drew me. But that stream that they did, it was really interesting because, they're talking about they're telepathic, that they can shapeshift, that they can change size, that they can disappear, that they're extremely strong, and, who knows what else. And so it all sounds far-fetched, and most of the time when you see any evidence for Bigfoot, what you find is, if there's a photograph, it's something that's really blurry. There's never anything like really super solid and compelling, except for the stuff we're gonna show now. This is some of the most interesting things I've ever seen, and it's not easy to explain away unless Bigfoot is real. That's my take on it anyway.
The only conclusion I could have come to as well. I mean, there's no other explanation for it.
So the first thing I'm going to show this. I don't know what order these images are in, but basically what you showed me initially when we got to this section of the forest was that there was this whole section of, I saw probably at least 100 trees that had been stripped, and you're gonna, well, I'll just show it. Where is it? Right here.
So we are in Bigfoot country here, and Steve is showing me a very weird anomaly where you can see this has been cut. Not it's maybe a rock or something, not a knife. It doesn't look like a knife cut. And these trees have, you can see the two behind also, have all been stripped going up like 50 feet.
Oh, even higher.
Even higher.
Yeah, 80 feet.
And this is not burned. This is not from a fire or something. This is clearly,
It was taken off.
it's clearly been taken off. This is definitely, Bigfoot country up here. And look at that. That's a smaller strip there, that one.
But the unusual thing about those two is, let me just back this up here. I don't even remember if we talked about this when we were at this spot, but the strips go down to the roots, which is...
Yeah, on those two trees they do, but I think those are exceptions. Most of the other ones all have the flat line at the bottom.
Right, and so what you're going to see in some of these other clips, you can even see the little hack marks here, right? This has been done with some kind of a primitive tool. It's not a machete or a saw blade or a straight edge at all. This is something, you can see the hack marks, and then somehow whoever or whatever did this managed to like pry underneath and pull away and had the strength to like rip the bark off of a tree going all the way up to as high as 80 feet in some cases.
Which would be no easy task.
Which would be no easy task, exactly. Like how many, if you had 3 or 4 guys, or maybe you somehow managed to, hook up a donkey and use a donkey or something, you might be able to do it. But the higher up it gets, the harder you would have to pull.
Yeah, you could get 3 or 4 feet, but I can't. 80 feet is wild.
And look at that. That's a smaller strip there, that one. What a trip. Okay.
Nothing on the ground. There's no evidence of, where it is. And again, if you come up and you look at, come here.
Yeah, that's very
Once
crude.
Put your finger.
See that? That's not a knife blade.
You can see, you can, but imagine if I had a big enough piece. Look, this is what they're doing.
Right, but they're doing a massive strip of it, and it's going all the way up. Well, how do you do that? Just pulling on it. I mean, I suppose if you had a team of people and you started the process, you could use that for building. It would be waterproof, obviously. It could be used for the roof of a structure or something.
This is just anomaly number 1. There's way more to come.
Bizarre.
And you can see them off in the distance.
They go back as far as you can see. In an area that is very difficult to traverse and walk around. Not easy. Especially once you get up here looking for. All right, so.
So where I'm bringing Mike to, this area, for the last 3 years, I've been bringing a couple people up to show them what we found. And this is the first time that it was gone. This anomaly that Mike will show you a picture of. It was literally not there anymore. And the whole landscape
when you come up, probably.
So I didn't even recognize where we were, which was strange for me because I'm used to this area. I've been there many times, and this landmark of this tree that Mike's going to show you that I sent a picture for just was completely.
I have all those images you sent me. I have them queued up as well.
Okay.
Here's an interesting one that doesn't go all the way up, but it's obviously been stripped.
Another one there.
It's going all the way up, 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 up. That's crazy.
Yeah, and I think again to point out to those that are watching, the outer layer of the bark is pretty thin and easily peeled off, but the thicker part that is
some of these go up like
it's at least a half inch thick. Well, I'd say like almost 3/4 to a half inch, somewhere in that range, and then it's 8 to 11 inches wide at the bottom, and then it goes up 60 to 80 feet. And I mean, just even estimating the weight of that, if you pulled it off, would at least be 150 pounds of bark. And there's just no way. We were just talking about like, well, who would do that, and how you'd have to have a winch or a truck somewhere in the distance to be able to pull at it to get it up that high, and then you got to track it out of the woods. And it's really, Mike, it's very difficult to even walk through where we were. Just with a couple items that we were trying to carry out, it was almost impossible.
Yeah.
But I think my first instinct, right, is more than just the how, is the why, right? And so a couple of things became like immediate to me, right? Was the my first impression, but it's sort of like how survivalists would harvest cambium, right? That layer that you're talking about between the bark and the actual trunk. You can cook it and eat it, right? It's a old Bushmaster trick, so you can eat that. It's edible, and so that would be my first thought. The other thing about it, whether it's for that or not, is that whoever did it had at least enough knowledge to know that again, if you do this all the way around the tree, right?
I was going to explain that.
Right, but when you do this in this way, it harvests it such that they took
you don't kill the
it
tree.
looks like to me. Right to the limit of what some of those trees could handle, but they still, all of them will recover and continue to live. So it's somebody knew what they were doing. It's not a mistake, right? So again, even before you try to figure out how, the why becomes a very, like for me, it's always about the questions, right? So why? And the first thing I could come up with was, the cambium, or as you suggested, it could be, used for a building material or some such. But yeah, anyway, it's fascinating.
Yeah. Sure. So you hit the nail on the head, because if you were to cut a strip, even an inch or 2 inches thick, around the tree this way horizontally, you would kill the tree because you're depriving it of its nutrition.
It needs that pressure for the capillary. Yeah, it uses
the transport system.
Yeah, the capillary action, right? That's how it draws the nutrients up into it, and it has to have the pressure. You remove that ring, and it can't. It's like popping a hole in a straw, right? Even doesn't matter how hard you suck, you won't get it because it doesn't create a vacuum. Anyway, that's an analogy.
Exactly, and so it also, they're preserving the tree, whatever did this, while harvesting it, and you're spot on. I think when it comes to eating, I think that this might be food, and we have some of the other anomalies, which I'll show in a second, that support that idea. You can see this. Wait, where'd it go? Come on. See how there's this strand that's hanging? That's actually missing the inner layer of the bark.
So they did take the cambium part specifically.
Yeah, yes. And there's no evidence of any of it on the ground. There's not even a piece laying
of
up.
the cambium.
Yeah,
but and you're going to see some footage in a minute that's just going to absolutely blow your mind.
A quick question: I couldn't really tell. I should have just been paying closer attention. Are these deciduous or pine trees?
I don't know. That's a question for you,
I'm
Steve.
not 100% sure what they are.
Well, the reason I ask is because, for humans anyway, you can do this with deciduous trees, but pine trees have a terpene in it that we would find unpleasant, if not poisonous, right? So I was curious whether that might be different with another physiology, or whether these were, and it looks to me like they are a deciduous type. So, it would be similar to, so it wouldn't, it could be, anyway, food. Yeah, that was my first thought, right? If somebody's eating it.
Yes, I think so too. That's my conclusion. You're going to probably think so even more. So this is the next anomaly here. This is broken, so it's not a good example, So I'm going to just skip over
I
this.
also wanted to point out to you, Mike, that is the tree that I was bringing up to show you, but it's been broken, and these other trees have been put on top of it. But when you show the picture that I sent you, that's it. A year after I was there, a little less than 10 months.
Right. So
I just didn't even recognize it. Yeah.
Beautiful Ganoderma, really amazing mushroom that has all kinds of health benefits, which we harvested, and hopefully it'll go to good use. So this is just a beautiful example of what the previous incarnation of the trees looked like, because there was nothing this big in this section of the forest that we were in. Everything was much smaller than that. This is over by your home.
Yeah.
And now, so we're going to get into another anomaly, and then we'll come back to the one about the Cambium layer. This is your wife. Remind me of your wife's name?
Kalina.
Kalina. Yeah. So this is an interesting thing as well. There were a lot of uprooted trees. And if you think of a tree falling over as a result of high winds, it's going to be uprooted, right? And if the winds are really high, it might uproot the tree and even push and move the tree. But you're going to be able to follow the line of the tree back to its source, and you should find a hole in the ground where those roots came from.
Yep.
And we found a lot of trees that were uprooted and more that didn't have the holes in the ground were nowhere near them. So those trees had been moved, and they were oftentimes stacked on top of each other in different weird ways. And in this case, crossing the river, and there was no hole where this tree came from. It's not like it just fell over and happened to cross the river. It looked like it had been placed there. And so is that a Sasquatch footbridge or what? That's my take on it.
Did I tell you the story, Mike, that when I first moved to the property and I was shooting across the canyon here, I was just plinking just to kind of do some target shooting, and I got screamed at right across the way.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
And yeah, I never went back out and shooting again, and it was exactly like the screams if you've ever heard them on a YouTube channel or a Bigfoot channel where you hear the screams in the woods. It was exactly the same thing. Yeah.
There's Randy, a gentleman, the great Baldini, who's in chat with us right now.
Oh no.
Yep. Yeah, I've exposed you once and for all. So yeah, this is the let's see, I'll come back to this. This is just I'll talk a little bit about that at the end. And let me just pull up my folder because I have the stuff you shared with me, which I want to cover.
The juicy stuff.
Yeah, juicy, especially if you're a Sasquatch and you like Cambium layers. So
I look like a Sasquatch.
So this is us just having fun by the river. I think you sent me this. That's why it ended up in this folder, right? Did you send it?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Just an example of stone melting. And there I am with the mushroom I stole. And more of that. This is just at the house. I don't remember what we were talking about. I think it was talking about how cobblestones are said to have formed in the mainstream model. I don't see any examples of heart stones except for maybe this one right here. That would be the front side. So yeah, and this was interesting. There wasn't enough to go on to draw any conclusions, but I got all the way around this thing, and it's got the same heart stone shape.
That's a heart stone?
This would be the top looking the other direction.
That's huge.
And this would be the left ventricle if this is the top, or it would be the right ventricle if it's laying on its face. And that's kind of a hard one to buy. But this would be the bottom end, and definitely fun to ponder.
Well, it's
We're
only
not
about
saying it's a hard stone,
50%.
but you know.
It's only about 50% larger than the current blue whale heart, really. If you were,
Yeah, they're about the
think of
size
it
of a
that way.
car. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's not out of the realm of possibility.
It's plausible. I mean, it's big, but it's plausible.
Yeah. So there were a number of good Heartstone specimens, but I think most of those are in the video footage that you got of me talking. This is one of them that I dug out, and just talking about the different features that the stones have. So this is the next anomaly, right? This is mind-blowing, and there are a number of examples of this. So if you, first of all, if you look around the forest, all of the trees in the forest are straight up and down. There's, every once in a while you'll see one that's leaning, but you don't see them with bends. This particular kind of tree grows straight, right? And which makes it even more unusual that it would fall and thread the needle between two narrow trees. But then you can see this is just bent off to the side, and it's on the other side of this tree. So that means the tree had to have been bent already, and then thread the needle, and then in other cases, which I'll show in a moment, thread the needle again. So this looks very much like it was bent. So,
It looks like somebody had to intentionally have
fall
threaded
over
it through there.
Yeah.
I can't see a natural process by which that could occur.
Me neither.
I mean, I've seen some weird
So
things
bizarre.
in hurricanes, right, or tornadoes. I've seen some really
Right.
mind-blowing physics, that you just can't work it out. But that,
Yeah,
that
I've
seems
heard
intentional.
stories of blades of grass like being embedded into a tree.
I have,
Like,
yes, I have
because of-
personally seen hay, hay, golden, stuff that you feed cattle, stuck into a brick, like it looked sticking straight out.
There you go.
My brain could not figure out how it could do that, penetrate without crushing the hay, but it did it. And I have a picture somewhere. It was from one in Texas in like 1991, and it blew my mind.
So this is one of the examples that Steve sent of the bark, the outer bark. The Cambium layer has been removed. So this is one of those strips, and the inside is gone.
It was the only one that we could find in the hundreds of trees that were in the area that was left behind or was on the ground.
Now, did you find it in this condition, rolled up like this, or did you roll it?
It was just crumpled down on the ground, and then we rolled it up. We
Okay.
measured it and rolled it up. That's a 50-foot piece of solid bark, unbroken.
But all the cambium stripped from it.
Yes.
Ah.
And this had just happened when we got out there and took these pictures, which Mike will show you. You can see that we probably weren't, I don't know, just days away from when the event had happened.
It would have had to have been, because otherwise it would have dried out enough that it wouldn't have rolled up like that. It would have been, it would have turned into mulch, essentially, when you tried to roll it up. It would have had to have been very recent to have that kind of moisture content still in it. Wow.
Now, in case you didn't think that other bent tree was weird,
What is
how
that?
the hell does that happen?
You didn't show me that one, Michael. What are you looking? It's twisted.
Yeah, it's not just bent and broken. It's like the whole top has.
I should have photographed the bottom so you could see, well, not the bottom, but the top of the tree that's down at the bottom of the frame. That tree was still alive. It wasn't dead. It still had green leaves on the other end.
Oh my gosh. It looks like it happened pretty recently, but I don't know. Hard to tell, I guess. So this is more of the strips. So this is interesting. So I had been envisioning them pulling a foot wide strip away from the tree, but maybe they hammered the tree with a rock, got a hold of like a 2-3 inch wide section like she's holding there, and just stripped that, and then took the next strip to the right.
That seems plausible.
That seems more realistic than that
And,
it was all pulled off at the same time.
And in the chat, they're wondering where. Remind us where this is, because the chat's wondering the
This
location.
is in an area called Granite or Grant Falls or Granite Falls.
Granite Falls.
Granite Falls, Washington.
Yeah.
Okay, that's so weird, because I was just about to say, hey, do you know or Steve? I was going to say, you know where Arlington Granite Falls area is there?
Yeah, that's what we're looking at.
Well, I lived up there for a little while, and I made some interesting observations as well. So we'll continue this, and I'll weird that it should be the same place, though. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah, so this is another odd one. Like, you found several of these, right?
Yeah, so right at the base of this area where there were just all of these tree branches that were bent and curved over, and all the bark had been stripped off. And then at the base, connecting to the trunk part of the tree where these branches came off of, they were all split in this very unusual way. All of them had the exact same split feature. And, I've never seen that in nature before. I can't explain how it was done. If you grabbed a hold of one of those pieces and tried to do that yourself, they would break. I mean, you'd
They're
have
brittle.
to put some force to it. They were actually pretty strong. I mean, you had to really pull on it to snap it, but how they got bent that way, I don't have any explanation for. And why all the bark was missing from those as well was strange.
Clearly, this was done by woodbenders. Yeah. So just more of what I've already shown.
Yeah, if you go back.
And here's another example of one of these that has threaded a tree and is bent.
Yep. If you go back one, Mike.
Look at that one. Oh man. This
you
one?
See? Yeah, that's when we arrived the first time we saw them. You could see how fresh the wood is.
How many years ago was that?
That was that would have been about 3 years ago.
3 years ago. Okay.
Yeah, that's when we first found the bent tree. These were also all stripped, and you could feel the moisture still on the wood, and they all had fresh kind of a coloring to them. They hadn't bleached out from the sun yet.
Yeah, and all of the ones that I saw were still thriving. So this is fresh 3 years ago, but the trees are still fine. So whatever did this, knew what they were doing. It's not something a grizzly bear would do. Well,
this is a funny thing, Mike. When I brought you to this exact same spot, those had already regrown back over again. Those weren't stripped.
Yeah, and I mean, how the heck does that happen? There's just like,
yeah. Zoom in on that, Mike. Really show.
Yeah.
So when we got there, this tree was also alive. You can see the green at the end there. It was freshly done, and you see the trees that it's put between there. It was somehow. Imagine those trees when they were growing normally, they would have been very close together, parallel, going up like this. And then somehow this one got pulled over, and then the tree got threaded between them, and then the top part of it got pulled back around. And that's a good 30 feet from where those two trees are, where the bend is. So going all the way to the end, that's another 30 feet of tree that had to get bent around another tree that, just didn't. When you walk underneath it, it's 35 feet up in the air. Maybe 40 feet up. It's way up.
Yeah. And again, if you look at all the trees in this forest, they're all straight up and down. They might be leaning a little bit, but they're not bent.
Yeah.
So to find multiple bent trees that also happen to be threading trees, and in some cases threading two sets of trees that are right next to each other, where one set is closer to the trunk and the other set is further down. But that second set of trees that it's threading is offset. So it's off to the right or the left, which is bizarre, right? I mean, the only way that it would work is if it happened to be a bent tree and it happened to fall in just the right way to thread two sets of trees.
Now, Mike, the other thing is to point out is if you notice the trees where the bend, where they're threaded through, there is no bark stripping or removal as if a tree had fallen against it and scraped it. They're perfectly intact. There's no damage to these trees anywhere. You see?
Yeah.
The V is. And we found another one, Mike. Remember, I got a picture of that. You found one on the ground that was threaded the same way.
Yep.
you got to discover yourself and see for your own, which is really cool.
Yeah.
No signs of abrasions or anything there, huh?
I don't say that again, Brandon.
I said no sign of abrasion or
none
stripping or. Yep. Interesting.
Yep. Woodbenders. Victoria in the chat, Coherence 888. She asks, were you able to find a hole to any of those that threaded trees? No, they're down, but the holes were not there for the roots. So like the trees had been moved and placed. That's my best guess.
Yeah, and again, I'm pointing. Mike didn't get to see this, but when we arrived at that tree, the roots were freshly pulled up from the ground, where it had been pulled out of the ground. You could still, the dirt was still dangling from the edges of it, and it was fresh. You could still see the ferns were still alive, being pulled up from where the roots came up. So that tree hadn't been pulled up for very long. It was pretty recent. Yeah.
I'm just going to read this because this is really
awesome.
Attention hikers. You should avoid this campsite. Camp here only at your own risk. There have been unverified reports of unusual wildlife activity in this area by what is believed to be Homo Sasquatchian cascadi, northern Bigfoot. Of particular concern are Benson Plateau and within the drainages of Eagle Creek and Herman Creek. Are one of those the river that you live on?
No, I'm not exactly sure where this sign was photographed at. I just found it online and shared it with you because it's somewhere up here in this area. I just don't know where.
H. Sasquatchian cascadi is apparently indigenous to the Oregon and Washington Cascades, while the closely related H. Sasquatchi jeffersoni, southern Bigfoot, is more commonly reported in Northern California and in southern Oregon Siskiyou Mountains. H. Sasquatchian cascadi is probably nocturnal and is typified by its secretive nature, its very large humanoid footprints, its curiosity of humans, and its appetite for Areolimax columbianus, the banana slug. While no H. Sasquatchian is known to have harmed a human, they deserve respect as large, powerful, wild creatures capable of pitching a 92-mile-per-hour fur cone. I wonder how they measured the velocity.
They'll get them signed up for the Mariners pretty quick.
People have had them chucked at them while they've been camping. So yeah.
Yeah. So that is that's the evidence that I wanted to share. Thanks to Steve and his tour of the area. He asked me. You gave me an option. There was another. You said we can do this or we can do that. And I chose that. What was the other thing?
I was going to take you up to the ice caves, which are a unique anomaly up against a solid granite mountain called Three Sisters that just comes straight out of the ground. Flat level ground, just giant granite mountains, hundreds, thousands of feet tall, all the way up into the, snow peaks.
Yeah, but no other geological structure around it that would indicate that.
Yeah, they're very unusual anyway. So you had the option, and you picked that. So that's where we went. Yeah.
Well, I made the right choice.
Time. When you come back, we definitely have to have more time.
And what you were saying is most people are interested in the ice caves, but it's the mountain itself that was.
They're not
most
even looking at what they're not looking at the glacier where the ice is, what it's up against, and how absolutely bizarre and unusual it is.
And you were saying it was a really, really good example of large scale biogeology.
Some kind, right? It's very different from traditional ones where you look and you can kind of see the bark structures. This is it's completely different. It's more like the rocks that we stood on in the waterfalls there that we had the little video clip. Perfectly smooth granite with just weird bumpy kind of like growths or structures on them, whatever they are. So who knows what it was? It may have been.
Yeah, it's fun to ponder. So this is basically kind of the end of my Seattle trip. I took the light rail, which was new. That didn't exist when I lived there. From roughly where Randy lives down to the SeaTac airport, and it was a surreal experience for me because it was such a somber vibe. Nobody was communicating. Nobody greeted each other as they came on or off. People are in their phones. Only I think I saw one guy reading a book. Real interesting cross section of people.
That's the infamous Seattle freeze.
Yeah,
We're
several mask wearers as well. Yeah, it was interesting. I felt like I was, in the Matrix, but not of the Matrix, because I'm just looking around, checking people out, and taking in the sights. And I guess you do this naturally when you're a tourist anywhere you go, but I really felt like I'm sure if I lived in the area and I had to commute to get to work, I would be just like every one of these other people. I wouldn't be looking around and taking in the sights like I was, but it was there's a rare book reader. This guy here, he was checking people out. I think there was something going on inside that guy's head. He looked like he would have been interesting to talk to. And this is just Seattle off in the distance as I pull into SeaTac. And I still get a little giddy when I'm about to fly. I just love flight. I was a hang glider pilot for nearly 10 years in California and have always enjoyed it. I hate airports and I hate dealing with security and all of that. But this is coming into SeaTac. And a lot of people wearing masks and, multicolored people of the alphabet soup variety.
Yeah. Before you leave the area entirely, if I could, Mike, and I want to get Steve your thoughts on a couple of things, not entirely unrelated, but similar and kind of connecting back here to geology a little bit, or at least our misunderstanding of it. If I could, I'm going to just quickly share the screen over here. I want this one, right? Oh, I think it's not there. I want, there we go. Okay. So that
you're going to share something?
Yeah. Just real quickly. Okay. So it should be, hopefully.
Let's see. How do I
presentation?
Yeah, I'm not getting. How do I approve you for sharing?
No, it shows. I see picture in picture, and I see it. So maybe you have to click on it. It's in the lobby.
I can kick you out. I can ban you.
Edit name, stop screen.
Present or invite. Invite a guest. Share. I can share my screen. That's weird.
It says you're in the show. I'm in the.
Maybe there's like some kind of a request to present button or something.
I don't know. I can stop the screen. Let's try to get present. I'm going to share screen. That one. Share. Okay, it shows that it's here. No, it's picture in picture, so it's not. I think it needs you to click on it, and I don't know. Can you see it in the lobby?
I'm looking at you. I can edit your name. I can edit your mic settings or kick from the studio.
I see a separate window that. So I have my window with my avatar on it, right? And then it created another window that says Baldini, but it has the. Right now you're looking at a Google satellite view, essentially, but.
I'm not seeing it, and I can't figure out where to allow you to do it.
Weird. Okay.
Is it just an image, or because you can send it to me through?
Yeah, I can send you this link. I can send you this link, and let's see what it does with it. And then what I'm basically trying to do here is just show you a stop sharing that. Here's that. All right. So that will bring up, ideally, just an area that Steve is probably familiar with. And this is kind of right around the area. You guys were at Granite Falls. This is kind of
it's a Google Maps that you want me to show?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a satellite view of Google Map.
Okay.
Switch back over here. Make sure
you see that.
It's not presenting yet, though. I don't see it in the window. I still see the airport.
StreamYard. Oh, it's because it's on the wrong. I've got it on my other screen. There we go.
There you go. Yep, that's it. Yeah. Okay, so what you're looking at there is kind of in that area, and you're looking at the Still Squamish River, and you're familiar with this area.
The Snoqualmie River?
No, Stillaguamish. It's not.
Oh, Stillaguamish.
Stillaguamish,
okay.
right? And there's a couple of different forks of this. And so I lived right along this, and of course it's difficult to get an exact view. But what I did was grab. If you go to the bottom again, you'll have to do this kind of. See the little man there. What? If you go to that little yellow man and grab him, about the best you can have to put him on one of the places that right up in that loop right there. Yep, along. Come a little bit closer down to the river. And that go right up to the river, that blue line right up to the river. Further left. See how I go further left? Yep, right in there. Yeah, that's fine. Should be somewhere right in there. And that should, ideally, would let you see. You can't quite see it there. Yeah, it's not a great place. The point being, I guess we can kind of be back out of that and just show the whole, close that so you see the whole thing on the river there. Point being is when I live there, along that river, what you see is along the riverbed is a land shear that goes between about 15 or 20 feet, all the way up to about 60 feet between one bank and the other. Right, so there's a big shear. So the one side of the river is again like 60 feet, up to 60 feet below the level of the river, and the opposite shore. What's interesting about that is it was very clearly not very old at all. It was very clear, like you could see the roots of trees were still sticking out with clumps of earth still in it. Right, so we're not talking. Yeah, we're not talking hundreds of millions of years of erosion. We're talking what at first it looked like it could have only been a few dozen. As I look closer, there is some water erosion there, but not anything close to what you'd expect for the timeline they give us. When I go back and look, the last major Cascadia subduction earthquake estimated to be in January 1700, and that would exactly put it right with what we see there. It's very consistent, right? It would be maybe 250, 300 years worth of subsidence there. But this combined with what we saw with the eruption of Mount St. Helens and all of the lahar that came out there, they found within 3 or 4 months carbonish, like carbon coal, right? Layers already within months, not even a full year. Things that normally we would say take 200-300 million years, right, to form. They're seeing features that are wildly inconsistent with what we have been given in terms of that. So again, I think the work that you're doing, right, is consistent with questioning everything they told us. My other question, I'm going to send you one more link here. This is just a Google search result. I'll drop this for you. Steve, you're familiar with Deception Pass?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So just one of the great places. It's just a beautiful place going out there. And that's an image search, and you can look at these. Some of them, we were talking about river rock, right, and heartstones. Some of the most intensely colored, craziest looking river rocks. And this is after decades of people going down, because there's a little park there. You can walk right down there of people pocketing them, which they shouldn't. But it is the most in some of the most intense colors of these. And the last time I was down there, after learning about heartstones, I probably found 2 dozen within, I don't know, an hour.
Yeah,
it was just phenomenal. Right. So
yeah, once you recognize the pattern, it's like they get easier and easier to spot. Like I've gotten to the point now where I can spot a portion of a rock that's buried and predict what the rest of the rock is going to look like.
Mm-hmm.
So that's there's a scalability, there's a specificity, and also a predictability to it
Yeah,
all.
and the consistency, right? And that's what we look for in pattern pattern recognition. We say, science,
Yeah.
repeatability, duplicatability, but certainly we want to see that it matches a certain pattern recognition. We recognize that correlation is not the same as causation, but when you see the pattern, right, it's hard to deny. You start wandering into willful ignorance if you don't like the results of the data. You just got to go where it goes. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's repeatability, scalability, specificity, and predictability, and the Heartstones definitely fit all of those categories in spades.
It seems to, comport well with that.
Yeah. Oops, that one. Okay. Yeah. So last little leg of my journey here was from Seattle. I flew back to Austin, Texas for a second time, and it was this was awesome because I didn't get a chance to see. I was down in this region, I think, is where Chinook Pass was, somewhere over here, and then off over this direction is where the Basalt area that I showed earlier was. So basically, I don't know. To me, I look at this and I see tree now. I don't think volcano anymore. I think that these are former root structures, and those root structures extend outward, and it's pretty self-evident. It's evident when you see all the basalt. And I'm just going to show something from my presentation here that I've done a number of times.
Ooh,
So we're told, if this is columnar basalt.
Devil's Tower.
Yeah. Hold on one second. Yeah. So this is, is that tree? Some one guy in particular thinks it's a Titan's Achilles tendon. My question is, where's the rest of the body and the foot and everything?
Yeah, those hexagonal structures really do look like organic material, doesn't it? Like the way you see it form, in cellulose. It looks like cellulose wall material to me. I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah.
Big and turned into stone. Obviously, it's. But I've been to the petrified forest when I was a kid. I saw what that looks like.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike. So if you go to your Telegram channel, I sent you a picture of the basalt arched rocks rising up into the sky that I found in a very unique place that are similar to what you're talking about, right in the eastern part of Washington that you went to. If you want to show that, because that to me is equally as impressive as the bent tree in terms of like going against the mainstream narrative that this is just cooled lava that's shooting up into the sky straight in a curved fashion. It's ridiculous.
It's not letting me move it to my second screen. Here we go. This is the image. Yeah, I mean, is this something that is biological in the sense that it's fibers, or is this cooling lava? And we're going to address that question real briefly here. You can see that image, right?
Yeah. But
the one you sent me.
You want to real quick, if you want to see something really funny, I just sent you a link in the Telegram. It is a Google search result, and I've just put in fossilized trees for image results, and I want you to look at the lower left hand result.
Oops.
There we
go.
Yep, I just said fossilized trees.
The last search that you did.
Well, yeah, it should be it said fossilized trees, and look at what there it is. They put Devil's Mountain in there.
Oh yeah, I was looking above. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I found interesting is that they included Devil's
the world's
Mountain.
largest petrified tree. That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
But that was interesting.
Yeah. So they're telling us that molten rock cools from a liquid to a solid, and as it does this, it begins to contract because of the the expansion because of the rapid cooling, because well, you'll see it in the next slide here. And I don't know why suddenly there's text, but this is the mainstream narrative, is that that magma is pushing upward, and that 50 million years ago, this was the floor, right? That this is surrounded by Earth, and then the lava is pushed upward, and then there's a rapid cooling event that causes this expansion, which leads to the hexagonal columns. And there's like 4 different main theories about how that happens, but they all involve 50 million years of time. And then after, so the cooling occurs, the columns are formed, and then over 50 million years, all of that Earth is then eroded away. And so I think that's pretty interesting that they're saying that the land used to stretch up to here, because I think Devil's Tower is, I can't remember, it's like 800 feet tall or something like that.
See, I would have to just challenge the very notion of what they're saying, because even when it, like basalt, or if it's lava, right, a magma flow, even if it's a laminar flow or an upward throw, an upthrust, right, it's going to, when it solidifies, all things re-solidify into everything into a crystalline pattern, right? It's a crystal lattice structure that creates. And that would not be the nature of that particular igneous stone to go into a hexagonal pattern. It's counterintuitive.
Right. Well,
so,
and the point I was going to make is that you never ever see a straight line anywhere in any lava flow. I used to live in Maui, and there were big lava flows on Maui. This is what lava does, and so they just, it's just one of those trust me bro things, you know.
Exactly. And you can only
so then even if you want to believe the narrative, how does this happen? Right. How do you get this diagonal cut? It's not a cut. This is something that you know is very likely biological, in my opinion.
But you're breaking the very first rule of modern science, which is that science is settled. Therefore, don't trust the evidence of your eyes and ears.
Right.
We know better.
Yeah, it's as settled as my butt has been on this chair for the last 2 hours.
I'm not going to ask any more about that.
Now, Mike, what you're talking about is fluid dynamics, and if you know, I come from a visual effects background doing computer graphics and animation work, so we are constantly working with particle systems to study the dynamics of how things would the fluid dynamics, to simulate water, to simulate wind blowing leaves, or how they would move on a surface of a carpet or grass on the surface. And you know, when you study fluid dynamics and you look at the explanation of this being lava, it completely falls apart. And,
similarly, Steve. So similarly, I've worked with modeling explosions, right? Which is a kind of a similar thing. It's, you know, aerodynamics, which is a fluid dynamics with deflagration, right? So there's a lot of variables, but what you'll still find is that certain patterns are predictable, just like Mike said, right? You get predictability. When you begin to see those patterns develop, then you can follow them. If all of a sudden you're shown an anomaly which does not follow any of those patterns, so yes, create something new and unique, and they'll go, yeah, but we know it's this. They're wrong, right? This is kind of the term that I've coined is absolute certainty is the imminent domain of frauds and fools. The only people that are absolutely certain are lying to you, or they are deluded.
Yeah. I made this video, Felling Titan Trees, just showing that even with steampunk technology, this is a pulley system and this is a diamond rope saw. This is how they do quarrying of large stone like marble in huge blocks, is they just have a diamond rope. So you could have a really long rope and a pulley system on either end, and with steampunk technology, you could cut these giant trees down and leave these plateaus that we see all over the world.
Well, and that even assumes that they're, you know, that it is a silicon life form, which is, you know, plausible. I suppose there's a lot of questions about that, or that it was a carbon life form that then, you know, became calcified or became petrified. Either way, right? I mean,
yeah, I'm of the mind, like, there are people who talk about a silica era and that life forms used to be made of silica. And I haven't seen any real compelling evidence of that. I think
I think it's a neat idea. I think it's a neat idea, but I haven't seen any compelling evidence. There's far more evidence of carbon-based life forms that then become, calcified or vitrified in some way.
Yeah, I think it's far more likely that there's been a transmutation of elements, and that's why things become silica. Not that they were silica when they were alive.
Agreed. That's my take as well.
Yeah, so just going back to this point that I was making about this, if this was tree, then it makes perfect sense that this whole region around here would all be basalt, because that would be the fibers of the tree. And yeah, beautiful to...
Hey, Mike, I'm curious about what you just stated about the transmutation process. Where silica comes after this transmutation. Do you have any references to that happening in nature? Are there any scientific experiments have been done to show that happening, or?
Well, there's both biological transmutation that occurs, and then transmutation through things like plasma. So that ties into a lot of my theories about instant petrification and how heart stones could exist if those are hearts, and all of those topics. They tie into this idea that an element is changing from one type of element to another. And that's not possible unless you have nuclear reactors or the fusion that happens inside of stars, right? That's where all the novel elements are born, and then the stars supernova and spread out into the universe. And I no longer believe any aspect of that theory.
I have a cautionary tale about that, about that explanation, but yeah.
Yeah, but there's two examples that I often come back to. Well, two examples of biological transmutation, which one is a tree that they put in a pot, and then they weighed the pot and the earth and the tree, and they put it into a room, and that room was sealed off in some way. And then over a period of 7 years, the only thing the tree got was sunlight and distilled water. So there's no minerals that are in the water that the tree could use to build its mass. But this tree took on a lot of mass. And when they weighed it at the end of the 7 years, it was obviously a lot bigger than when they put it in there. So that's an example in my mind of biological transmutation. Another is the chicken egg, which is, the chicken is eating its food, and it has a certain amount of calcium in its diet, but they've done measurements and they've even deprived chickens of calcium to see what would happen. And the shells don't weaken. The shell is primarily calcium, right? The shells continue to be firm, and basically what's happening is, I can't remember whether it's mica or I think potassium or something that the chicken is consuming. And then if they deprive it of that particular element, then the shell will weaken. But as long as it's got that in its diet, it's able to create the shell. So that's just proof in my mind that there's a transmutation of elements, and the chicken is literally creating calcium. And there's a book by a scientist named Louis Chevron, Kervran, where he discusses various examples of how biological transmutation can occur. And then when it comes to things like plasma or chemical or high temperature, I think all three of those can also create a transmutation of elements when the forces are powerful enough. And the example I come back to regularly is that there's a guy with a YouTube channel where he takes chromium oxide, mixes it with another powder. So he's got two different powders that he mixes together, puts them in a crucible with a little bit of steel wool and a ceramic lid, puts it in a microwave, which has a magnetron, which is very powerful and creates plasma, and turns it on. And in 10 seconds, he's creating ruby. And ruby is like a 9 on the hardness scale, diamond being a 10. So it's the second hardest stone that we know of. And this guy is creating it in seconds in a microwave and shows everyone exactly how to do it. And I should memorize his channel name because I talk about it regularly, but I don't remember but it's in many of my presentations, and as are the links.
So if I can just want clarification on what I guess meant by transmutation, because there are a couple of different. One thing I hear would be sort of more along what we would call the like vitrification or fossilization. That is, living tissue becomes another material, right? For example, vitrification. For example, we have evidence of brains turning to glass, right? Through rapid.
I presented that as well.
Right, and more than and fat generally can, with the right circumstances, actually turn into glass. So we have that. Then there's the other thing, which I kind of heard you say about when you're talking about the chicken and the egg, and that kind of goes along with like Sheldrake's idea of morphic resonance, and which again, fascinating stuff, and which I began to start leaning back into the my ideas about water and how crazy that is, but with again trying to understand how we always say, well, we have the powerhouse of the cell, right? And so plasmoids and we got prions and all the sort of stuff that we get into the cell, and yet we can look at this exact same DNA sequences, and yet one turns out to be a fingernail and the other turns out to be a hair. Right, follicle, right? How do it know? And that's what Rupert Sheldrake calls morphic resonance, which there's a there. I don't know how to put it. Right?
Yeah, but that ties into pleomorphism as well.
Yeah, and starts to get into stuff like, for example, DNA memory, right? And how especially trauma-based memory can be passed along. Did a lot of tests, for example, with like lampreys, and they give them a shock with light, and they associate that, and so even when they turn on the light, it jumps because it's expecting that. And then they go 3 generations down, and third generation has never experienced it, but when they get the light, they react just as though they'd had the experience. So they had that, and then it gets even creepier. They did it with a kind of flatworm, and they again trained them on a kind of Pavlovian response, and then that's kind of gross, but they basically mushed them into a paste and fed it to completely different flatworms. And again, these are the type of worms that self-duplicate. You can do a lot of generation stuff, so they use them for genetic testing, because like fruit fly, you can get a lot of generations very quickly, and these pretty much clone themselves. So they did it without going to a clone. They gave it to a completely different genetic group and fed it to them, and then there on the second generation they picked up the learned behaviors of the previous group that had been ingested. How that works, I don't know, man. I think it's somehow imprinted in the water. The water carries the memory, and is somehow instantiated by what I would term the ether, right? But whatever the resonance is, whether it's the Schumann resonance or whatever, I think there's some cohesiveness there, right? And it's like tuning into a radio station, so it knows. And if you think of the double helix as a type of antenna, right? That you can get a phased loop antenna. You make it the same way, where you can pick up a whole bunch of associated harmonic frequencies. So in that sense, every single cell of our body becomes an antenna that picks up frequencies around us, right? So if we go back, I know I'm going into Tesla world here, but the idea of everything being frequency, and to me, even solid objects, it's just a matter of frequency, right? It's reached a certain harmonic resonance. I don't know how to put it all back together, but there's so much to it that this is where I just kind of open mouth gaze at the world and go, wow. Right, it's so much more interesting than what they try to sell us, is that we know everything. Well, clearly they don't, because every branch of science I've ever looked into, no matter how deep you go, ultimately comes to, in a process we don't yet fully understand. It always ends there. Always, we don't know anything. Right. Anyway, didn't mean to hijack, right? But these, I like your idea, the clarification of the transmutation and transmorphic, whether it is again physical processes on the one hand, which we see with vitrification, petrification, that sort of thing, or whether it is more of this woo thing on
the
or both. Is it both?
I'll riff on that. vitrification thing a little bit. Yeah, there are a couple different examples of vitrified brain that if you search for it, you can find. And then I'm sure you're familiar with the Fresnel's lens, which is basically just a big magnifying glass.
Fresnel lenses.
And you can Fresnel. Okay. If you put a rock under one of those at the focal point, just like a magnifying glass, if you're like burning paper with a magnifying glass, if you have a big Fresnel lens, it'll start to vitrify stone in a matter of seconds, and so basically it melts and then it glassifies. And I've presented information that I learned about this from Hangman 1128, where there are big obsidian runs in Oregon that he's shown that it's clearly tree, that you were talking about coal. There's coalification. Coal can be made. You take a tree with a little bit of salt water, a bit of wood, put it in a pressurized container and heat it. And, within I think a couple of weeks, you've got coal.
You can get coal. Yep.
Perfect coal. And then obsidian is tree as well. It's just glassified tree. And this area in Oregon, you can see different sections where you can still see the tree grain. The tree grain is starting to disappear, and then it becomes obsidian. And there's also a type of obsidian called rainbow obsidian, and if you polish it, you can still see all the layers are still present, right, of the original
tree rings,
the original tree. Yeah. So anyway, just along those lines. And then Jerp in the chat, he mentioned Nighthawk in Light is the name of that channel that I was talking about, where he creates the rubies in a microwave. Nighthawk in Light. Yeah. So let's see. I think I'm nearing the end of all. Oh, go ahead, Steve.
If we were just bouncing back a little bit to the basalt, I think you might be interested in, as well as the viewers today and in future. I just sent you a video clip in Telegram that I shot a couple years ago studying the basalt column segments. And I don't know if you've ever seen, but the segments actually, when they come apart, there's a convex and a concave connector that puts them together. I mean, almost like Legos.
Yeah, I think that's why they call them columnar jointing.
Okay, so that's what the name for that is. And people, will take these basalt pieces and bring them in for architectural landscaping in their homes. And when I was out in Eastern Washington, I found a few of these pieces that somebody had even polished one of the surfaces, because they turn them into kind of fountains. They'll drill a hole through it, pump water out, and let the fall down cascade over. But you might want to take a look at the video real quick. It really shows the uniqueness of the basalt that you don't see from the same distance when you're looking at a mountain or a photograph.
I've also seen evidence of some of those hexagonal basalt columns, and they are all over the place. You can find them all over the world that are, those vertical ones. And again, I don't know all of them everywhere, but I do know I have seen some of them, right, where people have taken them and they have piezoelectric qualities, right? You hit them and they generate electricity, and they will ring at specific frequencies and ring like a bell if you get the right one. And they're wacky, and some of them even follow the, what are they called, back spinner or whatever. If you lay it on its side on one of the angles and you spin it, it goes for a while, and then it goes to a point and then spins back the other way. And there's a couple of complex physical, curves that they can define that do that, and so you can 3D print those that make it. But when you find weird things that don't comply to that, they don't conform to that at all in science to do this thing, and you can't make it not do it. You spin it, it goes, and if you try to spin it the other way, it won't do it. It goes a couple of spins, rattles, and goes back the other way. It's bizarre. The thing again, there's so much in this world that is so wild. It's amazing. I love being. Other than the people, I love being here.
Michael Tellinger, he's presented on ringing stones that sound similar to what you were talking about, and they're like these long strips of stone, and you tap it, and it rings just like a bell. Yep. So this is the link that you sent me. Is there a particular? It's 4 minutes long. Is there a particular portion of it, or should I just start at the beginning, or what?
You could scan through it. It really is showcasing, from a 360-degree view, all of the weird anomalies of the basalt.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
I'll.
Front of their
Interesting. Cool. Oh,
this
wow.
piece is absolutely
What?
amazing.
I wasn't expecting to be concave on the end.
Could be that they polished it. I don't believe they come that way. They definitely.
Is that you speaking?
Yeah, that's my video.
Ah, okay.
It's pretty evident.
What the heck? I've never seen that before.
Neither.
Yeah, so I wanted to show you. And then the opposite.
To me, that's another debunk for cooling lava. There's no way cooling lava is going to do that.
So they're keyed to stand into each other vertically, right? That's what it looks like. Yeah.
What in the heck? That's new info for me. Thank you, Steve.
I don't know if those are the way they
Interesting.
Oh, that's a great find. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'll check that out in more detail. But I'm gonna wrap this up. I think. Let's see. So from Seattle, I flew back to Austin, and the reason for that was to meet with Luke Story for an interview. Normally he interviews in his home. He's got a studio in his home, but he was remodeling some stuff, and so we ended up going to another studio that is a friend of his, owns the studio, and this is the guy who set up Joe Rogan's studio. So twice I got to be in really wonderful environments for interviews. That this is the control room for the studio. Beautiful lighting, really high quality cameras and microphones, and so I got to interview with Luke Story. That should be coming out soon. Great experience, wonderful man, and that was my reason for returning to Austin for a couple of days. There, wait a second. Where is the volume level? There we go. Here I am with the coolest Uber driver I've ever encountered. It's taking me to Austin. My teeth are all green. He was giving me this amazing trip powder, this healthy powder that gives you energy. I can't remember what it was called, but it was nice.
Black guy's air freshener from the rear view. Like many Uber drivers.
But are you using Axe deodorant? That's great.
Definitely not.
Anyway, his podcast is called The Lifestyle Podcast. And new folder. There we go. I think, is that it? Yeah, there were a few more images. I had dinner with Mike Cardamone again in Austin. And that's the shirt I'm wearing right now. It's a Way Forward t-shirt from Alex Eck. I got two really nice souvenirs from the trip. One was this shirt, and the other was this green jade stone that Brandon gave me. Back in Spain, land of many castles, back to Javia, and went to a Chinese restaurant. I approve of their menu, obviously. And that's my son and my daughter. You guys still there?
You bet.
Oh, went silent. And then this is just a reminder of the conference that's in August in Australia. That it's going to be awesome. There's just an amazing lineup of speakers. Mark Gober and Steve Young, who are both here this evening, are going to be attending. Cal Washington, who spoke at Confluence. And this is a chiropractor who I actually have met a couple of times, just as coincidence would have it. I met him in Australia in 2006 and then again in London. Amazing guy, amazing family of chiropractors. I think it's like multi-generational chiropractic family. And a whole bunch of faces and names I'm not familiar with, except for Dave Armstrong, who I've done 2 presentations for that group, and he was the host of those presentations. So this is going to be an amazing event, similar in vibe and spirit to Music and Sky and Confluence, with really great music and lots of fantastic themes. And so the interviews with Alex Eck and Luke Story should be coming soon. Oh, here's an interesting take on basalt columns. How do you explain this for cooling lava?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Right, because if you got pressure that's creating the hexagonal shape, okay, we'll grant you that one. Well, how is that pressure also going to simultaneously create these round central portions? This is just more evidence, in my opinion, that we're looking at something that is biological, not lava. And I just saw this. I thought it was hilarious. I opted out of everything I possibly could. I had 9 flights total on this trip. It was when COVID came around, I didn't even know if I was ever going to fly again. When they came out with the QR codes and the face rapes, I was like, nah, I think I'll just pass on travel, and I did for a few years after that whole event. But I opted out of facial recognition, of the body scanners, of I even traveled with my own water. You can travel with medical water, and I had a nice bottle, and because of the HIPAA laws, they're not allowed to ask you what your health condition is, or that sort of thing. So people don't realize that most of the stuff that you think they're forcing on you is an offer, and you can either take the offer or you can refuse it. And I refused it over and over again, and didn't have to subject myself. Apparently those 3D spinning scanners that are in the American airports, apparently those have enough radiation for like a whole year of X-rays. They want you to think it's innocuous and safe and won't hurt you, and everything is safe and effective until it turns out it isn't.
Well, and it was that Michael was immediately able to identify my car from the one sticker on there says, "I do not consent." He's like, "That's your car." I went, "Yep." How did you know?
Exactly. Yeah. So this was just the episode that I did with Brandon, the guy who played the guitar with Alec, who's got the Expanding Reality podcast, and I just had that in there because it was a fun conversation interview. And Illuminate, Elevate in September again, and my book will be coming out on September 17th is the launch date for the book. So I think that is everything that I wanted to share. Wait, no, there's a few more things. It's one of the best takes on that meme that I've seen. And there's heartstones and there's heartwood.
Nice.
Isn't that amazing? What a cool find. And I'm not in this picture if anyone goes looking, but what a fun, amazing event that was. This is a podcast that Brandon did with Kelly, the woman I met when I was with Ben in Seattle. She lives in Seattle. She's super cool. I should have invited her. It slipped my mind. Yeah, and then there's some synchronicities around the 17, which I already talked about. So that was it. And that is what I wanted to share. I haven't interacted with the chat at all in this stream, or hardly. Where is it? Where is everybody? Did I close it? There we go. There's the chat. Yeah. So yeah, any last second questions or anything anybody wonders? It's been awesome to have you all here. Still 50 watching after 3.5 hours. That's a good sign. Uh-oh, lost one. 49. Wonderful to have you all here. The book is coming on September 17th. I decided to postpone it to do a real proper launch, do a bunch of interviews, and yeah, do it right. And it's going to be worth the wait, I promise. What is that? I can close. Where's my control panel? There it is. All right. Oops. Yeah, so thank you all for coming. Thank you, Steve and Randy, for joining in. It was awesome having you guys and fun conversation. I have to do something in the not too distant future. There's going to be a lot more of me. I've been kind of out of commission for the last few months, and it's going to be different. I got a whole backlog of things to share and videos to make, and then the book is going to come out, and that's going to be fun. So, anything else you guys want to say before we sign off?
I look forward to seeing your book, of course. And this is another great serendipitous thing I just happened to see, and been meaning to catch up with you since you were here. Great being able to finally meet you in person and get to spend some time with you. So no, thanks for having us here. It's a wonderful talk. We always end up down the wild rabbit holes. And Steve, great to meet you as well. Another local thinker. So
yes, we'll have to get together sometime.
You bet.
Yeah. Thank you, Mike. It's been great. You did a great stream. It's really cool catching up on your life and seeing all the cool stuff you did. That was really neat. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you for your hospitality and for showing me all that cool stuff and making this stream that much better with your presence, and also with the Sasquatch stuff. That's so cool. I loved it. So
all right. Well, there's more to come.
Awesome. Well, I'm gonna end it here. Thanks everybody. Good to see you guys. Hey Brett, nice to see you in chat. Derp, wonderful as always. And yeah, we went almost 4 hours. Unbelievable. I never stop talking.
See you later, man. Take it easy.
Ciao. Adios, everybody.